Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in, welcome on, welcome to another episode of the Direct Podcast. Everything you need to know about the universes you love. I'm your host, Matt Roembke, and I'm joined as always by my friend, co-host, box office correspondent, senior editor at thedirect.com, Mr. David Thompson. David, what up?
What's up, man? We are 10 Sundays away from NFL football, and it
Hell
is
yeah.
officially the timer is officially on. I'm so excited. This will be our fourth or third season, us doing the podcast of football seasons. I
Yeah.
think. I forget what year we're on. It's about, by the way, I don't know the exact date, but it's almost to the day. Um, 3 years since joining the
Wow.
podcast. So
Yeah.
thanks
It was
again
over the
for
summer. Of
thinking of me, when
course.
when Liam moved on to greener pastures. And yeah, just happy to be here.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. I'm so happy to have you here. You have taken over this podcast in so many ways, and I appreciate everything you do. Yeah, we are officially in the dog days of summer, man. It is officially here. Shout out to
Yeah.
the Indiana Pacers, the greatest Pacers team of all time. Thoughts out to Halliburton. What a fucking bummer. But hey, we move on. Go Cubs. It is a big week for the podcast because starting next week, it's game time. Like it is game time. We
Yeah.
are hitting the ground running. Me and David will both be seeing Jurassic World a week from today.
I
It
mean,
is
heck, this week we have Ironheart.
yeah. The movies are one thing, and then Ironheart
Yeah.
comes this week. As far as how we're doing Ironheart, because they're also doing the 3 episode drops, we don't have a review next week, right?
No, so for a movie,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, we don't have a rewind next week. So
Nope.
we'll probably do the Ironheart review next Monday on
Mm,
our regular Monday episode, and then the finale review will probably be a Thursday drop.
yeah.
Uh, I guess we never really did we ever get to really talk about the official 3 episode 2 week run for Ironheart?
Talk about it briefly. I know. It's one of those things like I just can't.
Unbelievable.
I have to just stop. I have to stop caring because
You do.
like every single one has to be slightly different, slightly changed. Why not all six? Why 2 weeks? What happens? I mean, maybe that's exciting. Maybe at the halfway point, something crazy's going on.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean,
I
it's cool.
absolutely love it.
Yeah, actually, I mean, you're right. From like a pure just watcher perspective, I don't mind this.
Not at all.
Three episodes sounds very easy to do. I will be cranking those out probably in a row. Then 3 episodes the next week. Easy peasy. Glad we're on YouTube for that one, by the way, Matt.
Yeah,
Uh
fun stuff.
yeah. But
Please
yeah,
make
no,
sure to
I'm
go check
excited.
out the Screen Rant YouTube page as well. I'm doing some videos over there. Any views would be very much appreciated.
There you
I will not
go.
be doing that over there. No, man, I think it's gonna be really fun. It's reminds me of Echo. You know what I mean?
It's very much so. Yeah.
Echo's binge, I think, helped it so much because, and like we say, if a show is not, if a show goes week to week and it's not up to the standard that we would like it to be, people who do podcasts, people who listen to podcasts, spend a whole week picking every episode apart. These shows that need a binge model, use it. You know what I mean? Lean on
Mhm.
that crutch. And the 2 week I think is awesome. I guess a little spoiler warning for everybody, not on Ironheart, but like apparently the finale of Ironheart is insane. That's
Mm.
what we've heard. So next week, next Wednesday, stay off Twitter until
Yeah.
you've seen. You know what I mean? Like that's it's apparently it's going to be big enough to be a major spoiler. So eyes out there for anybody watching Ironheart. Very excited about it.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah. So review next Monday, and then finale review next Thursday, probably if I had to guess.
Yeah.
Um, Other updates: Spotify. We're having some Spotify issues. Some of our older episodes has some copyright stuff, and we are working it out. We have done everything we can on our end to get it corrected, and we will hear back from Spotify whenever they get back to us. The unfortunate thing is that Spotify is our podcast provider at the moment. I say at the moment. Um,
Yeah.
and so we are not able to get podcasts onto podcast feeds. So if you're listening to this right now, you have found us on YouTube. Welcome to the Direct Extras YouTube page. Please drop a subscribe and follow along. We have so many amazing interviews from Russ and David and all other members of the team on this page. Please check them all out. Or you're on our Patreon feed, and you found us on Twitter. So thank you all for listening. Whoever's hearing this right now, if you can hear us,
we're here. We're
you
still
have
here.
found us.
Yeah,
you have found
thanks
us.
for finding
we are
us.
here. Yeah,
we're not
so
dead.
This might be known as the lost episode. I don't know.
Well, I will say, like, someone out there might be listening after the fact. When we do get re-access and I then upload after, kind of post, maybe it'll be sooner than we think. But I'll definitely update the audio feeds whenever I can, and wherever you're listening. We appreciate you. Thanks for those that are reaching out, like asking about like what's going on, because that just tells us like, some of you actually are listening out there and care a little bit. So we really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much. And hey, this might be a good opportunity to try something new. You know what I mean? After we get this resolved, because we're just working some things out. We're doing everything we can. We will get it fixed for everyone. And that's all the updates we have. And now let's move on to everything you need to know about the universes you love. All right, David Thompson, everything you need to know about the universes you love. We got a big one. We got ourselves a big one. Casting for Spider-Man Brand New Day has continued to run. Sadie Sink.
Here we go.
In. Tom Holland. In. Zendaya. Jacob Batalon. In. The newest addition to the Spider-Man Brand New Day roster. Jon Bernthal as Frank Castle, the Punisher, will be appearing in Spider-Man 4. Huge. Big casting news. Continues the trend of MCU Spider-Man movies being those crossover events.
Yeah.
It was Iron Man, it was Nick Fury, it was Doctor Strange, and now the Punisher. Very cool. David Thompson,
Could be more. We'll see.
You are a massive Jon Bernthal, Frank Castle fan, and you are the Spider-Man fan here on the direct.com. What say you?
Very
His
exciting.
Little body moved when he did that. His little body moved. Reverse Funko Pops are very funny.
Yeah, I just have them dangling, have them on strings.
There's two types of Funko Pops. There's ones like this Grogu behind me where the body, like the head sits in the body, and then there's ones where the body hangs out of the head.
Yeah, it's got the like little...
when you reverse it, it's very funny.
My favorite Funko Pop is back there. Actually, it's the I have the Andrew Garfield one where he I'll grab it later.
Sure.
On the news.
Yeah.
This is fantastic news. This is a testament to how important the Punisher is going to be in 2026. We are getting a special presentation for the Punisher. That all of a sudden immediately up. Like that the importance of that special presentation just went up by 1,000 times. I mean, it's great. It's genius from Disney in a way and Marvel Studios, because it's like, oh, yeah, this is a Sony production for partially Sony production, mostly, I guess I should say, for Spider-Man Brand New Day. But wow, the Punisher's in the movie. Go check out our Disney Plus special presentation. You like every Spider-Man fan's now going to want to watch that and really, really care about what happens in that presentation more than they probably already did. Bernthal might also appear as Punisher in Daredevil Born Again Season 2. I'd be surprised if he does not. This now sets up a 3-part Punisher arc in 2026. Holy shit. Like, Jon Bernthal, have a day. He's also in the Odyssey with Tom Holland. That's so cool. So on the surface, just surface level on the news, that's fantastic to hear. Punisher mixing with Spider-Man, knowing Punisher's relationship with Daredevil and the idea of death and anger and killing and not killing, and like all those same themes go along with Spider-Man. I think it speaks to the idea that this might be, following No Way Home, a darker movie with Tom Holland's Peter Parker. Maybe he is in a darker spot. Maybe a symbiote suit is on the table. We'll see. But like there is a version where Peter is in kind of a broken state in this film, where maybe he is kind of like wrestling with these ideologies and what it means to be Spider-Man, and kind of like use classic power, responsibility, all that good stuff. And I think maybe Bernthal is kind of like the devil on his shoulder. We'll see. We will see how it ends up playing out. But right now, I am so stoked for this. It also speaks to a street level story, which is a huge win ahead of Doomsday. Matt, what are your thoughts?
So many of them. You said that it could point to Spider-Man Brand New Day being a darker movie than No Way Home. No Way Home is probably one of the most eclectic MCU movies in that it's so many different things,
It
right?
is, yeah,
It's a dark movie in a lot of spots. Like a lot of it. Like
that's true.
a ton of it is very sad and dark. So
That's a good point.
that's a terrifying thought, really. um uh DDC, right?
DDC, Destin Daniel Cretton.
Punisher action directed by Destin Daniel Cretton. Give it to me.
Yeah.
Give it to me. Give me a lot of it.
It'll
Give
be
me a lot of
cool
it.
to see Punisher. I mean, one little thing. It'd be cool to see him on the big screen. Like
Uh-huh.
he's been in our lives. This version of Punisher for years now. You know, since Daredevil season 2, at least for me. Like, so that's gonna be like really exciting.
Yeah. I think like again, I have so many thoughts. I'm just gonna kind of brain dump them a little bit.
Yeah.
Want to hear my weird first thought that I thought of?
Hmm.
Do we get the white boots now? Like,
Yeah. What does it look like?
do we now get the white boots here? Like, is this the Ben Affleck Batman where we get the suit that we've always wanted?
Right. Right.
Um, it's
Potential.
it's gonna be so interesting to see how much he's in it, his role within the plot. Um, the conversations between Frank and Peter are going to be outstanding. Like that's two actors. Not only are those two actors that do their characters so damn well,
Yeah.
those are two actors that already have such an incredible chemistry together. They've worked together many times in Hollywood.
Hmm.
They are good friends. They're working together right now in the Odyssey. So that'll be very interesting to see them together on screen and the chemistry that they put out. Speaking of, Frank Castle's chemistry so far as Frank Castle with Matt Murdock, Charlie Cox's Daredevil is, it I don't think I'd be wrong in saying that's the MVP of the Daredevil franchise is the Matt
Hmm.
Murdock Frank Castle chemistry. You know what I mean? I think that's probably one of, if not the shining spot of that franchise overall.
Yeah.
Um, and so to see Peter and Frank have conversations, like you said, about the things that Frank Castle likes to have conversations about.
Yeah.
Um, another one of my first thoughts: does he call him Red? You
What
know,
does he call him? What does he call him?
oh man, if he calls him Red, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind.
But isn't that he can't call him Red,
I
right?
know, but man, would it work? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it also leans into man. So the Charlie Cox of it all,
Yeah.
right?
Does he is Daredevil now in this movie? That's the big question.
Charlie Cox, Daredevil, Matt Murdock, already in a Spider-Man.
Hmm.
I feel like that's something that people forget. Like Matt Murdock has already been in a Spider-Man movie in a great scene in that movie.
Yeah.
So it would make a lot of sense if he was in Brand New Day. It
Oh,
would make
yeah.
it would make sense on so many levels. Production wise, he was in one. He had a cameo in the third one. That usually means he has a big role in the fourth one. Usually, right? Now it's Daredevil, so like that's a completely different beast.
Hmm.
Frank Castle leans more into that. How do you not have both, right?
Yeah.
Also, the whole Peter Parker is Spider-Man thing. I know we got the spell. It worked out better than I ever possibly could have imagined it would. You know what I mean? As comic book and silly as it is, I think it works,
Hmm.
especially with Benedict Cumberbatch fucking hammering it home the way he did. Cumberbatch is huge in how well that spell worked, right? So I'm in. We're all in. Made $2 billion that movie.
Yep. Sure did.
Um, in the comics, there's a lot of Peter Parker in one place, Spider-Man in another place at the same time, but it's Matt Murdock under the mask. Like
Mm.
that's a big thing in comics. Is Matt Murdock dressing up as Spider-Man and helping Peter out, right? Maybe not a big thing, but it has happened. Like
Hmm.
there's precedent to that. Same way and very similar to Bullseye and Daredevil season 3.
Right.
So that's really interesting to me. I hate what sucks about the Punisher character is that I went to Daredevil almost immediately. You know what I mean? Like I almost immediately thought, oh, does this mean Charlie Cox is in it?
Yeah,
Which sucks for Frank Castle because him being in it is big enough. I'm not saying it's not big enough, but it does. Your mind goes there, right?
absolutely.
Um, I'm excited. The biggest takeaway I think, without a doubt, is the street level of it all.
Hmm.
This being and it's so goddamn perfect that how do you do a Spider-Man movie when everybody he's met in his MCU career now doesn't know he's Spider-Man, right?
Right.
How do you do a movie when all of that's gone? You bring in characters he hasn't been on screen with,
Right.
new characters into the MCU, and one a new character being Frank Castle, like that's as good as it can get, right? So I've always, since day one, thought that after Spider-Man No Way Home, Spider-Man 4 should be a Spider-Man Daredevil situation. Spider-Man Frank Castle is a great option as well.
Yeah.
Fit is the other question.
Yeah. Kingpin.
Especially with so you said Punisher becomes a huge mark here. There's also potential for Daredevil Born Again season 2 being a huge Spider-Man piece.
Oh yeah.
And that's as much as that show already had all the momentum they could possibly have. Now it possibly has that. Very interesting. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I mean, now going into 2026, like it's crazy because this one casting news completely changes our perception in many ways of what to expect from the MCU. Like it now feels like a three-part narrative of the streets of New York in the MCU between Punisher. I assume Punisher releases before Daredevil season 2. I could be totally wrong about that. That is me, pure speculation. Punisher, Daredevil season 2, and then into Brand New Day. And that's gonna be in the first 7 months of the year, and then we wait for Doomsday, which is gonna be a whole other thing. That's where you go crazy multiverse again. But it feels like we are going to get a street level story before then. Fantastic Four next month is gonna be cosmic. Break. We get time off. Or even let's take it even a step further. Ironheart right now grounded, but we're getting magic, which will be fascinating to see how that plays in. Boom.
Tech plus magic. Who in the Marvel universe does a tech plus magic thing? Hmm.
Yeah. Wow.
Hmm.
Crazy. Um,
God damn.
Fantastic Four, cosmic, multiversal, whatever. Boom. That Fantastic Four is the most important piece of all these in terms of like setting up for Doomsday. Boom. Wonder Man, its own side story. Have a lot of fun. Release schedule. God only knows.
Yeah.
Boom. Now we're into the Netflix of it all, like the Netflix characters, where we're getting, because let's not forget, we're getting Jessica Jones in Daredevil season 2. Like everyone's back on the board. This is a beautiful thing. Like as someone who's been a Netflix Daredevil like fan forever, massive Spider-Man fan, it's kind of a dream come true. Like they are connecting these things. We got the one throwaway line in Daredevil Born Again season 1 about like, a guy in a guy in a mask and stuff like that. But this feels like a true connection. And because of Punisher's presence, we pretty much already know now that Spider-Man in Brand New Day is going to have to be dealing with the ramifications of Daredevil Born Again season 2. So you mentioned like the momentum. Yeah, like we now understand that they are playing nice. I guess is like the biggest thing. Like we now are getting a past net. I mean, canonically, we are now getting, which is a crazy sentence. We are now getting a past Netflix character truly in a Spider-Man movie in a major part, beyond like just Matt Murdock showing up in No Way Home as a extended cameo and just doing his lawyer thing. This casting news seems to me like a major role, similar a la Fury, Iron Man, Doctor Strange. So all that being said, it's so crazy how like one little domino, one little casting move can now rise my expectations for every single project coming up, and that's the power of Kevin Feige. Like it really is. It's like, oh, just when you thought you were gonna go crazy and you're just gonna get excited about the multiverse and Sadie Sink and all these things, here is one little chess piece move that makes everything more important. And that's awesome. That's the power of the MCU.
Love to see it. Very excited. Spider-Man Brand New Day will be a topic of conversation every time it's in the news, and that is just the train we're on. And it
And
always
it's gonna ramp up. They're heading toward like as they head towards production. I think we're about to get even more. I expect. I could be wrong, but I expect we're gonna get even more news as we get closer.
will be very interesting. Um, Other news out of Marvel Studios. Another movie has popped on the schedule, December 15th, 2028. Three Christmases in a row for Marvel Studios.
Yeah, it's gonna be holly jolly.
Here's my thing.
You hate Christmas.
I do. I do. I celebrate Kwanzaa. December 15th, 2028. That is 3.5 years from now.
Yes.
You are the business side of this podcast. That's where your brain goes. And that's why you're such a valuable piece of this team. Do you care about this date at all?
Absolutely. Yes.
3.5
In
years
a major way. Oh yeah.
knowing that it probably will move just because everything
No, no. Yeah. Yeah.
Go on.
I hear you saying. No, this is massive. So the Disney had this date. It just became Marvel. So to me, here's what's happening, Matt. If you look at 2028 now, there are 4 MCU films. I believe it's February, July, November, and now December. So though I think December sticks. This is a change in formula. We are going back to formula at Marvel Studios, Matt. Do you understand? We are going to Christmas. We are now doing the Star Wars thing, the new Avatar thing, and we are doing the Christmas thing. They saw No Way Home. They shifted gears with Doomsday and Secret Wars. And now this is the leading candidate for the X-Men reboot is this date. Not something stupid. I'd say something stupid. Not something that we've seen before, but something they're really going to like put all their marbles, like push all their chips in the middle of the table for. Like this is going to be this is their new, to me, this is conveying to me, this is their new opening May weekend is Christmas and sharing it with Avatar because at least right now, 2026, 2027, 2028, that is a habitual message to moviegoers that there will be Marvel movies or a big Marvel movie, or there will be Avatar movies too. But for 3 straight years, Christmas with the MCU, that's huge to me. That is a change in strategy, a change in the way they look at the release schedule. A note just at Disney of the shifting of a Memorial Day weekend for Star Wars movies, Christmas for these big Marvel movies. And what's going to happen, in my opinion, is we are now going to see I think that date sticks with Marvel, but February might change, July might change, November might change of that year. 4 movies will not release in 2028. Maybe I would guess maybe 2. Black Panther 3 and X-Men. Those would be my leading candidates right now. Black Panther 3 or X-Men, Christmas 2028, absolutely murder the box office. And I think that's what they're looking at.
No, I'm with you. I get it. I am poisoned by the shifting dates of movies. You know that.
Well, and they're going to that's the thing, like yeah. To your point though, Matt, I think this date sticks for some movie, but the other dates will shift. Like 2027 dates, 2028 dates. I think all that shifts, but I think the Doomsday Secret Wars mystery movie 2028 Christmas, I think that is something they are top priority at Marvel Studios is keeping those dates.
That's awesome. And that's exciting. I wasn't here last week. I was camping. Until my dog saw a cat in the middle of the night and tore a hole in our tent.
That sucks.
In the middle of the evening, so we had to cut our camping trip short.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Bummer. Did you guys talk about Jake Schreier and X-Men last week?
No, that wasn't out yet.
So Jake Schreier, the director of Thunderbolts, has been given, or
I mean,
reportedly,
we already this is like it's not been corroborated essentially.
yeah. The leading prediction is that he will be given the X-Men movie
Yes.
at Marvel Studios, the first
Brilliant.
X-Men movie, first official X-Men movie. Shout out Multiverse Madness. This is huge, just because that's a big movie. Obviously, you want somebody in there that can handle that. Thunderbolts, I think, is an excellent audition tape for an X-Men movie. It's not it's not even so much like the Thunderbolts to X-Men correlation. I don't think there's a lot there. The way that movie played out, handling 5 to 6 different cast members at the same time, handling how they talk to each other, how they talk about each other, context and content of which they are talking about, the emotional weight of the story through the characters. Um, was I think Jake Schreier was my MVP for Thunderbolts outside of Florence Pugh.
Yeah.
Um, I think he did an incredible job handling the weight of the story with depression and the characters that he had. That is X-Men shit.
Mm-hmm.
Heavy shit with many characters dealing with various levels of it. And still entertaining. That's kind of the secret sauce, right? How do you do that with pop? Jake Schreier, I think, did an incredible job. I would love if the first X-Men movie had the same energy as Thunderbolts. I really would.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's going to have a little bit more whiz bang than Thunderbolts did, because all, as we know, all they do is punch and shoot. Um,
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
so like that will be different. But as far as characters and story, and just the direction of those characters with the story, Schreier, I think, is an incredible choice. Based on what we saw in Thunderbolts, I love that. Big fan. It's the same reason I'm excited for Shackman and Fantastic Four, having this weird, almost like in between real and fiction thing with
Mm-hmm.
WandaVision and Fantastic Four. Matt
Mm-hmm.
Shackman, what he did in WandaVision makes me excited for Fantastic Four. What Jake Schreier did in Thunderbolts makes me excited for him in an X-Men movie.
Yeah.
Same thing with DDC and Spider-Man.
I mean, Marvel Studios loves to work from within. That the lesson continues. Every project we've talked about today, pretty much, Doomsday, Secret Wars, Brand New Day, Fantastic Four, hell, even Coogler producing Ironheart. Like all these things are build from within, work from within, and Schreier is the choice for a new X-Men movie. Sure, it's not the most flashy choice. It's not this like big splash director hire from outside that's already an established, well-known director outside of like any universes that we love. But I think this is a good choice. Like you mentioned, I think the main thing for me, and you pretty much mentioned it all, the character dynamics need to be really good in an X-Men movie and have layers to them. They did in Thunderbolts, and this is giving a like Thunderbolts is one of those movies we're gonna look back. Really high quality film. I loved it. Should have made more money. People didn't go see that movie. I like that they're not, they understand that Schreier is not the reason why it didn't perform that great at the box office compared to how good it is. And they have faith in him that when you give him a much, much, much bigger piece of IP, I mean, can't even like describe the exponential difference between a Thunderbolts film and an X-Men reboot movie. Like generations care about the X-Men, literally at this point. Like this is a generational thing. Give him X-Men, give him that group of characters, beloved group of characters from comics and animation and movies, and that budget and that weight on his shoulders of being able to do this. Having that faith in him is a real testament to how much he was a part of making Thunderbolts as good as it was.
Yeah.
And that's really positive to see.
I got 3 more things off what you just said. 'Cause that's how this podcast works. You know what I mean? It's a refresh. We're out here having fun. play it, Jazz. You know what I mean? No dribbles. Get the ball down the court. What a bummer.
I know. It's terrible. It's so bad.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
The worst.
I have three things. One, what you just said. It's obviously Jake Schreier's not James Gunn. Duh.
Yeah.
James Gunn, I believe, is a Mount Rushmore comic book movie director. Ooh, that's a fun one.
Especially after June 11th or July 11th. Sorry. Yeah.
We hope. We can only hope.
Yeah. Hope. That's what we need.
But this is a similar angle as you did Guardians, a project that nobody knew those characters in any real way, and you made it something great. And now you get Superman. What can you do with the weight of IP behind you? Right? What under the bright lights, how do you show up?
Yeah.
Jake Schreier did Thunderbolts. We knew those characters more than we knew the Guardians, but at the end of the day, those are C-tier MCU characters before that movie. Those who saw it know that was an elevating movie for them. They're the new Avengers now, for God's sake. Now, what do you do with the biggest IP in the history of Marvel? Mm-hmm. More than Spider-Man, I think. Like Spider-Man's its own entity.
Oh, yeah.
But within the Marvel Universe, X-Men that's that gig. You know what I mean? So it's similar there. Movies or sports. This is one of those things where, like you said, it's not a sexy name to put on an X-Men movie. It's not the flashiest decision they could have made. But those who know ball know that Jake Schreier is a very capable director and somebody who could elevate in this way. It's very movies or sports when like a great college basketball coach moves to a bigger college basketball school. Those who know what he did at that smaller school are excited for him at that larger school. Or an NBA thing where like one of Popovich's assistants gets a head coaching job. Those who know ball know that that's a great choice kind of thing. I think it's an inspired choice if it happens.
Absolutely.
Last thing. I have one if you need time to think, but I'm wondering, is there a scene in Thunderbolts that you can think of that you could pinpoint as like maybe that was the one that won Feige and company over to give him X-Men if it ends up happening? Like is there a scene or moment in Thunderbolts that felt like, oh, he did that, he can do this?
I mean, major spoiler warning. If you haven't seen Thunderbolts, you probably have to listen to this podcast. I think the hug at the end, I think when they're inside the void and fighting through, and the creativity that went into working through the void that ends in a hug to save Sentry at that point, Bob. I think that the heart of that and the build up to that and they didn't win by punching hard, that's special to me.
Very Dormammu. I think that's what makes Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Seriously, I think that's what makes Doctor Strange such a great movie is the creativity of the win, right? The scene I think about is the
Superman
Yelena.
2. Yeah.
I watched Superman 2. Did you watch Superman 2?
I did. We're going to do it right now.
I didn't love it.
I didn't love it either, but I'll save my thoughts for maybe another time.
But in my opinion, it's the Yelena Alexei scene on the street.
Oh, yes. Another great one.
Having that incredible monologue conversation between the two. And it's not just the scene. Obviously, the performances were incredible. The writing was incredible. The direction of those characters. But the direction that I think may have made that scene the winning scene, they did that right in the middle of the big fight.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't scared to get into the fight and have that moment right there in that time. Yeah. That's the type of thing I think could make an X-Men movie work, where it's not just about the thing happening, which so many X-Men movies are just about the thing happening. It's about the characters dealing with it.
Right.
Very exciting.
Yes.
Moving on to other news. We have a Clayface.
Yeah. Big news.
Tom Reese-Harris has been cast as Clayface in the DCU. Clayface is very much happening, and we are moving forward. I went through his IMDb. I recognized one project in his entire list. It was The Gentleman, the Guy Ritchie movie.
Oh, okay. I know he's in that.
That is an ensemble movie, and I couldn't begin to possibly fathom who he was in that movie, right? So a relative unknown for sure. Might be a TV star that I just don't know about because I didn't watch whatever shows he was in. But we got a Clayface. I don't know a ton about Clayface. I
Hmm.
don't know a ton about the tone of that character. I know the practical use in comics.
Hmm.
He's Mystique, right?
Shapeshifter. Yeah.
Him getting his own movie, I think, is the biggest because of the DCU projects that we are aware of outside of Creature Commandos. This is no one knows who Clayface is unless you're a DC fan. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
Like this is inside baseball for sure.
Totally. Yeah, this is a really interesting. I mean, they're moving forward. There's a Mike Flanagan joint in terms of he's writing it, not directing it. Yeah, a little marketing for him. That's what it's gonna lead off with. But no,
Sure.
this is James Gunn was recently on the official DC Studios podcast. Really, really go listen to that if you're a DC fan or you're excited for the DCU. Go listen to that podcast. Like James Gunn, he loves to talk. It's great. Like he does a really good job. And on he wasn't about this casting, but he talked about Clayface. It, first thing first, horror movie, like it's going to be like, and I hear that and I think, how much of it really will it really be a horror movie? But I think that's the idea for it. Script apparently was fantastic. It'll be interesting to see like what version of Clayface it is, if it is even the same one as we saw in Creature Commandos. That's like a debate happening online now. But overall, like I'm glad it's kind of an unknown. I'm curious how this will work within the whole shape shifting of it all. He's talked about body horror. He was kind of asked about like if the story's like has a modern take in the world of like deep fakes and AI, and he kind of confirmed and like shook his head like, yeah, it does. And it just sounds fascinating to me. I don't think this is going to be like this big next chapter in the DCU as Superman will be and Supergirl will be and even Lanterns will be, but it could be a movie that takes some risks with the comic book character, with I think a pretty unknown actor. The guy that was in Sinners. Gosh, what's his name? Jack O'Connell. Is that his name? Sinners, and now he's in 28 Days Later, I think, or 28 Years Later. He was kind of up for it, and people thought that was going to happen because he's kind of on the rise. But no, I like the idea that it's maybe an actor that we don't know so well, and I'm excited for this movie. I'm not a big horror guy, but taking risks sounds fun, and getting some unique stories in the space also sounds pretty interesting to me. So yeah, overall, I'm excited.
It's an interesting casting because it's one of those ones where I don't know how many actors would want to take it,
It was
like
down
Jack
to a
O'Connell
good
being on the
pick.
rise.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, it's a CGI character, Clayface, and when he's not Clayface, he's other people.
Right.
So like, how much of on screen time will this actor get? It
They
seems more
talk
like
about, yeah, like body horror and stuff too. So I don't
sure.
know like what I'm curious with apparently clearly the take is pretty unique, and it's in a lot of it's influenced by I guess the original Batman animated series. So I almost want to go back and look at the look what was that character like?
Yeah,
how'd that character tick?
I saw something about like having an AI commentary to it as
Yeah,
well.
that's what I was saying. Yeah, yeah.
So it'll be interesting. It's an interesting role.
On
It's
that though, like James Gunn didn't bring up the AI thing. The people he was talking to on that DC podcast that like I was mentioning earlier, like they brought it up and then he kind of was like, yeah. Like it's what and James Gunn's kind of that kind of guy where he's like, yeah, sure, my movie has everything in it, or like this movie has like literally everything in it until you watch it. And it's like, oh, okay, this is what it's actually about.
voice roles I think have definitely like a certain spot for actor. Like I just watched Guardians 2. Like Bradley Cooper steals that entire movie.
Yeah,
And CGI character. It'll be interesting. Another trailer released last week, Deliver Me from Nowhere. Jeremy Allen White will be Bruce Springsteen in the most dad movie of all time. Um,
incredibly dad energy.
my dad is obsessed with Bruce Springsteen. He got to see Springsteen in Jersey one time, which
Wow,
is
that's awesome.
I mean that's the show, man.
Yeah,
Springsteen in Jersey, that would be insane, dude. Um,
that's cool.
Jeremy Allen White, obviously, one of the fan favorite actors around right now. This is a big push, a la Timothy Chalamet, complete unknown, and it's another music biopic. and it'll be interesting to see where it lands in the pantheon of them. Quick mini draft. What are some of your favorite music biopics?
Oh, my hot take, because everyone hates this movie now, Bohemian Rhapsody. I love that movie. Everyone hates that
Interesting.
movie. And I
Yeah,
really, really, really enjoyed it. And I've seen it like a few times. And it's like a very easy movie to hate nowadays.
it's
And
one.
I
It's
liked it a
one of
lot.
those. It's one of those movies that people hate because like the story's not true, and it's so much of like if nobody told you it wasn't true, you would never know.
Yeah,
You
I
know
don't
what I
care
mean?
about any of
Like,
that. Like I like watching that movie. It's
yeah.
entertaining to me.
I love that Mike Myers is in that movie. I think that is inspired.
Yeah.
Uh, if you know the story with Wayne's World and Mike Myers, do you know that one?
No.
You seen Wayne's World?
Yes.
Bohemian Rhapsody, obviously the most iconic scene in that movie. One of the most iconic scenes in movie history, if you ask me. The Bohemian Rhapsody scene.
Right.
The studio said we need to pick a different song. This is a 7-minute song. We're gonna do a car sing along for 7 minutes. And Mike Myers like fought and said, no, it needs to be
Oh,
this.
that's funny. I didn't. Oh, okay. And then
This is
that's
what people
the.
this is what people are singing in their cars. Like it needs to be Bohemian Rhapsody. And then he's in the movie
Yeah.
Bohemian Rhapsody. He says, 7 minutes. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
kidding me? Inspired. And he's great.
He
Um,
is.
doing all right. That scene in that movie when they first meet Rami Malek. Know what I'm doing. Oh, incredible. Love that song. Might be my favorite Queen song. I like Bohemian Rhapsody a lot. A Complete Unknown was fantastic.
Yeah,
Um,
I like that one
got
too.
a huge Oscar push. But then you have Elvis.
I like Elvis.
Also, really?
Yeah. I'm a sucker for these movies. I don't think there's one I haven't liked that I've seen.
Sure, sure.
I haven't seen all of them though.
There's so many I like. I think Tom Hanks ruined Elvis in a huge way. He was so distracting.
Oh, yeah.
So distracting. And then it's one of those things where like if he wasn't in it as much, it'd be different. But boy,
Right.
was he in that movie a lot. But like
Yeah.
Elvis got a huge Oscar push, didn't win anything, right? Complete Unknown got a big Oscar push, didn't win a ton, but it was a darling of the season, right?
hmm
And
It's
Chalamet helped.
similar routes with Butler and Chalamet on
Yeah.
those two. Yeah.
So Jeremy Allen White, what I say all that to say, Jeremy Allen White is getting into that,
Yeah.
taking that route.
It's
I mean,
coming.
Rami Malek won.
He did.
I mean, it's one of
Uh,
the most controversial statues in Oscar history, but that it kind of springboarded this whole thing.
And I think it
But
set it back a little bit in terms of the Academy, but
sure, sure. I mean, the backlash was insane, in my opinion, as it should have been. But it's a Jamie Lee Curtis situation where like the Academy was like, man, may have gotten this one wrong. You
right.
know, God damn, that sucks. That was our moment, man. That was our chance to really get it,
I
and Jamie
know.
Lee Curtis took it out from under us. Shout out Jamie
Yeah.
Lee Curtis. She
Yeah.
looks fantastic.
She's good in that movie. She's good in that movie. That
She
movie
is,
just won everything. It was one of those where it's like, just give it to everything ever all at once.
but it's not Auntie Bassett, dude. Come on. And I mean,
No.
she was incredible. But like there's such a range of music biopics. Like Straight Outta Compton is incredible. That's an incredible
Oh,
movie.
yes. That is a
You
good
know?
one. Yeah,
That's
I really like that
amazing.
one.
Walk the Line is
hmm
amazing, right? And you can go down and down the list. It's but Rocket Man, not as great.
I never
But
saw that one.
it's great because it's Elton John songs.
Right.
And that's what you got to play with here. Like, you know what I mean? Can it be more than just the songs are awesome? Because of course a Bruce Springsteen movie is going to be so much fun for people who love Bruce Springsteen. But
hmm
nobody our age knew who the fuck Bob Dylan was
Right.
before Complete Unknown. And that movie was so much more than the songs, but the songs were also great. So, you play that game a little bit. It'll be interesting. It's exciting. I love Jeremy Allen White. I love Bruce Springsteen.
Trailer looks great. I'm already back. I'm all in on this movie. I'm like I said, I'm a sucker for these films. Like I really get into them.
You got to get Born to Run right. Like that's like in the same way in A Complete Unknown, you had to get Complete Unknown right. You got to get Born to Run right. And that's that little clip at the end of the trailer where he's doing it live, bruising
Dude,
it up, man.
going for it. Absolutely
Crushing
going for it.
And
Brown
Bruce
contacts and
Springsteen
all.
is one of those characters where you have to be over the top. You cannot be reserved and play Bruce Springsteen. You
Yeah.
have to go. And the boss is somebody you go with. And Jeremy Allen White, I think it's a great role. Last bit of news, speaking of the Academy, Tom Cruise will receive an honorary Oscar at the Academy Awards for his contribution to filmmaking, the theater experience, and
Yay.
choreography. We love to see it. It's going to be a great moment. We're going to get a Mission Impossible reel at the Oscars, something that we'll probably never get in any other facility.
Well, we do have the stunt thing coming up, the
But
stunt category.
you have to imagine that's why they're doing this.
But is
Right?
that this year? I don't think, is it for these movies? I think that's opening in the following year. I could be wrong about that.
Maybe again that's why they're doing it. Give him this award so he can then talk about
Kind
the
of
stuff.
launch
Next
that
year
idea.
we're finally going to start recognizing these people with a statue.
Yeah. So then Brand New Day and Destined Dinner Creating can hop up on the stage. Yeah, it's gonna be great. That's what they're gonna reward, right? That's what we're doing.
CGI characters getting stud awards would be very fun.
No, Tom Holland's in a suit, man. He's gonna be running around, doing flips.
Yeah.
We
want more New York web slinging, but we also want a stunt Oscar. Those things don't match. Those are not the same things.
Let's do it, man. Let's go for it.
Actual web slinging through New York and actually on a fucking wire, man. It'd be crazy.
They did it in TASM 1 a little bit.
You think so?
There's that one scene on the bridge that's very notably practical when he's
sure.
pre-suit, when he just
Best scene
made
in
the
the
web
movie.
slingers and he's like flipping and doing on the buses and stuff.
Best scene in the
I
movie.
watched
Just a guy.
one of the movies that I've seen the most in my entire life is the like hour and a half special features of the TASM 1 Blu-ray. I've seen that a gajillion times. It's good stuff, by the way. It's amazing.
I might watch TASM tonight just to feel better about myself because everything's so goddamn sad.
Cooking Come by Coldplay's in that movie, and that's one of the best movies of all time. So, or songs of all time.
Not a Coldplay fan myself. It's a good song. Tom Cruise at the Oscars again. Hearing the Mission Impossible theme live on stage at the Academy Awards will be very fucking cool.
Oh yeah, I hope he goes.
We'll probably never see.
It's like doesn't even show up. I hope he does. I mean, he's in that new movie coming out next year. That's like actually acting. So people are already speculating like what happens if he wins this honorary award and then comes back the following year and wins an actual one. So that would be cool.
I heard a Samuel L. Jackson quote recently. I don't know if it's an old quote or a new quote, but it came across my desk recently.
Mm-hmm.
It was basically like, I don't make
your butts.
movies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't make movies to win Oscars. I make movies I want to see. And the movies I make don't win Oscars. And you know, it's something we've talked about on this podcast a ton. There should be another Oscars for popcorn movies. It used to be the VMAs. No,
right.
Not the VMAs, the MTV Movie Awards. It used to be that. And we need it. We fucking need that shit, man.
Is it not the Golden Globes a little bit, I guess? That's why they made the box office award. God, I hate that.
That sucks.
Yeah.
That's
is that not the attempt? Oh, everyone saw this movie, so here's an award. I don't know. They don't know what they're doing, I guess is the point. Like they're trying to do that.
You know the problem with that award is that it's not a merit award, it's a stat award, which I'm not saying that's wrong.
A participation award. For a stat that for an award they've already been rewarded for. Like if you're winning the box office reward, you don't need to win I don't know how you put that. It's not a critical award.
My counterpoint to that in a movies or sports kind of way, scoring champion is it's not an award, but it's a title that we give NBA players every season. Scoring champion.
That is my one thing on that is like, yes, because that is the stat. And that is basically just naming that statistic and shining a light on it. We already do that. We already say what movie made the most money and congratulate that person just in general. And they don't even, that's not even the award. The box office participate or performance award, it's not even the movie necessarily that made the most money worldwide. That's not the award. So it doesn't make any sense.
I guess I don't know a ton about that award.
It's whatever. It's literally just movies. The movies that are up for that Golden Globe are films that perform well at the box office. It does not mean, like your analogy, that the highest earning movie will actually be given that award. Yeah. It's like more of a cultural impact, I guess, is a better way of like framing that.
I'm with you.
It's dumb. It's just dumb. It's like we don't need to be reminded or like kind of it feels very cheap to me, which is ironic considering what it's about.
Can we play a fun little game before we get out of here?
Yeah, let's do it.
It I want to challenge your brain a little bit.
Okay.
Can you name the number one release at the box office for X many years? How many years would you like to go back in this game?
Oh gosh.
And I'll give you 2020.
Let's go one by one because I actually don't know the answer like to what you
Okay.
just said.
Okay.
It
You
could
want
be
to
a
work?
while though. I'll have to really think.
Let's
American
do.
releases.
Yeah, yeah. I'm on Box Mojo.
Okay.
Box office. So
Worldwide or
this
domestic?
worldwide, I have to imagine.
Okay.
No, no, domestic, domestic.
Oh, that changes everything. Okay.
Yes. Let's give it a shot. I don't know. It'll be fun
Domestic. Let's do it.
this year.
So far, um, what are we looking at this year? Lilo and
Hit
Stitch.
Minecraft.
Oh, Minecraft still ahead of Lilo and Stitch?
Yeah.
Where's Lilo and Stitch?
I don't know. I don't have that pulled up at the moment.
They're
Looking
not on the
now.
list?
Oh no,
Oh,
I'm Lilo and Stitch is number two. It's 40 million behind Minecraft.
so we will pass it. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm taking that
Last,
W.
yeah,
uh, last year,
yeah.
20.
I can give you a hint for each one if you'd like.
No, I just need, it's just racking my brain. Trying to think of like what were the massive releases of 2024.
This is fun.
Do do do.
A lot of movies. It's not a comic book movie.
Not a comic book movie. Inside Out 2.
Yes,
Okay.
nailed it. Year before, 2023,
Barbie.
Barbie. Year before, 2022,
Avatar.
close.
Not Avatar.
Nah,
Maverick?
yeah. Domestic.
Domestic.
Um,
Exactly. That's awesome though. I didn't realize Maverick made more domestically than Avatar. That's great.
there you go. Year before,
No way home.
2021.
Yeah, that's a
Home.
joke.
2020, Bad Boys for Life.
Good note.
Good note. In 2019, of course.
Endgame.
Yeah. Fun.
Yeah. Let's keep going.
Fun. It's fun. Okay, 2018. Now we're in our wheelhouse. A little
Infinity
bit.
War.
Ah,
No?
domestic.
2018 domestic box office, not Infinity War. Wow. That's impressive. Similar. Black Panther? Really? Black Panther made more domestically than Infinity War?
Sure did.
Wow. That's
Sure
an
did.
incredible stat for Black Panther. That's amazing.
Yeah. Great movie.
I know. That's still like shocking.
Yeah. You want to keep going?
Yeah, I'll give you a couple more.
17.
Uh I'm trying to make sure like I'm not overlooking like is this The Last Jedi?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Beauty and the Beast is number two. Um,
16.
I'd be shocked if he got it. This was a franchise play.
A franchise play. This is so okay, let's do a couple hints. Sequel?
Yep.
Okay. Live action?
Nope.
Okay. Because I was first gonna say Moana, but
Mm-mm.
that was not a sequel. Sequel play. What time of year did it come out? Do you have that?
June 17th.
This is 2016, you said?
Yeah.
Is that Cars 3?
No.
Oh. Animated June 17th, 2016.
Moana number 13 on the list.
I had just turned 18 years old. Where? Oh gosh. What? Okay.
Star of the movie is a former TV talk show host.
Oh, Finding Dory.
Finding Dory. 2015.
Oh, Force Awakens by a mile. Wait, what? Not Force Awakens?
The
No
other
way.
the other Spielberg thing.
Jurassic World made more than Force Awakens domestically?
By $1 million.
That doesn't count.
Less than, no,
There's absolutely
by,
no way that's true.
by $400,000.
There is what? No way. That's not
Star Wars made 300 million more globally.
okay.
Yeah.
That's still
Yeah.
stunning to me. Wait,
The,
whoa.
the domestic thing is interesting.
I would have thought that Force Awakens is one of the highest domestic earnings like I thought of all time.
No,
Really?
I mean, maybe, but I mean, Jurassic World crushed.
Is this? Here's a question. Is it because it's only counting box office in that year?
Maybe.
Do a couple clicks and see if that's right.
Sure. I'm with you. I'm with you.
Because I am almost certain Force Awakens is one of the highest earning domestic movies ever.
Christmas movie. Yeah. No, you nailed it. You fucking nailed it. You sussed that out real fucking quick. 936 domestic.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there's no way. Like, Force Awakens is one of the literally one of the biggest movies ever released in the United States.
Came out in December, still the second highest domestic movie of the year.
Exactly. That's a good place to end.
You want to do 14 and call it?
Yeah, 14 and call it. I'll do some. This is, I mean, is it not Marvel?
No, it is.
Yeah, I was gonna say Marvel's kind of on a smaller side in 14. Live action or animated?
Live action.
Sequel? Not a sequel, live action. What studio?
Marvel Studios.
Oh, it is Marvel. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, we miscommunicated. Oh, Guardians.
Yeah.
My other questions led up to that. It's that's a great way to end it because that is a movie that should be rewarded.
Beat.
Yeah, that is why James Gunn has Superman. You know, like that is such a beautiful thing.
More than Winter Soldier. More than Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1. More than Transformers, more than X-Men Days of Future Past. Come on.
By the way,
come on.
Fun fact, I could be wrong about this. So you don't have to look this up. But if we go back to 2022 earlier, Avatar might have more than Maverick. I think that is the same logic with the Christmas thing.
Well, I don't like that, David.
I know. It's weird. That I know what Box Office Mojo like lists do sometimes where it's like it literally just counts like January 1 to New Year's Eve. Yeah.
Well, hold on. 684 domestic for Avatar total.
Yeah, there's no way Maverick hit that.
You're right. It did.
Really?
718.
Tom Cruise,
718 domestic, 776 international, 15 worldwide.
That's stunning. It's still stunning to this day.
Oh, God, I love Top Gun Maverick.
Great transition to my F1 review, by the way. Great transition.
Yes. And with that, thank you all so much for listening to everything you need to know about the universes you love. Up next, David Thompson's review of Joseph Krasinski's next film, F1.
Welcome in to the Direct Podcast F1, the movie spoiler-free review. Now, I got to see this movie last Monday, and I absolutely adored the film. There's really no two ways about it. I'm going to break this review up into 3 parts. The first part is going to be the cast. Second part is going to be the production and filming. And the third part is going to be about the plot, but it's not going to get into spoilers at all with the plot. The only thing to look out for in this review, I think I might just mention some aspects of the film when it comes to characters that have been shown in marketing material. So if you want to know absolutely nothing about F1 before going out to see it in theaters, skip ahead, come back. But this is not going to be a spoiler review by any means. So number one, like I said, the casting. Brad Pitt leads the way, and he does a phenomenal job. I love this era of Brad Pitt. I loved him in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Bullet Train. I thought he was really fun in. And yeah, in general, I'm excited for his, follow-up to that film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with David Fincher. That's going to be a lot of fun. Sonny Hayes is his character. Of course, this movie, and I'm going to mention a few instances today. This is Joseph Kosinski's follow-up to Top Gun Maverick. And you see the kind of cousin relationship it has to that movie where, they're not siblings. It's not a sequel, but there's like this connection to them where Kosinski tries to, it feels like, play the hits a bit from Maverick in a new formula with excuse the pun, didn't mean to say that, with a new frame around it with being Formula One driving. F1 the movie starring Brad Pitt, he is phenomenal. I think that I'm not going to sit here and say this is one of his best performances of all time, but he's great. He's great in the movie. I think he kind of plays Sonny in such a fun way. The character is very arrogant, very just full of himself in many ways, self-confident, terribly stubborn, doesn't listen to anyone. There's a whole note in the movie about how he literally just like can't listen to anyone. And he's kind of he's likable, but he's dislikable as well, which is great. And they never really truly make him like Brad Pitt in this movie isn't like the most lovable guy. And I think that's like a really great, bold decision in many ways. Damson Idris is the number 2 of the movie. He is the rookie in the film. Like there's like kind of the old wily vet, Brad Pitt, and then Damson Idris is JP, who is the rookie of F1. And there's that line. It hits really well in the movie, and it's in all the marketing where it's like, back and forth. How many F1 races have you won? Like just as many as you, because none of them have won one lately, even though they're on polar opposite ends of their career. You learn about how Sonny gets back into the whole F1 circuit to begin with. JP's kind of this like golden child. He's like, I don't know anything. By the way, this review comes from a guy who has never seen an F1 race, hasn't watched the Netflix series, knows it at like a passing glance, like what it's a racing sport. That's like pretty much all I know, and it's cool. Like it's to me, it's cool. It's fresh. It's international. It's not like NASCAR. They don't just turn left. So with that being said, JP, played by Damson Idris, he is the young, cocky rookie. Both characters have a lot of similarities, which is great, which is kind of how they like clash in many ways. On top of that, like both characters in both performances, they show a great amount of progression throughout the film. And in many respects, Damson Idris is the main character of the movie. Like there's an aspect to the film where Brad Pitt's character is almost just there for him in many ways, even though like they are very adversarial for most of the film. It's kind of like he is there for him, for the team to get better. This is not necessarily a movie about like Brad Pitt's character being like the golden child and like comes out of retirement or whatever and like saves the day. That's not really the film. And I love it. It's like it's better than I was anticipating from that perspective. And the performances are wonderful. I think Damson Idris is truly great in the movie. I love the conversations now happening, the rumors swirling about him being maybe a Black Panther in the future. I think that would be brilliant casting after watching this movie. I don't think I'd ever seen him in anything else before this. He's great. I'm all in on him, buying all the stock I can. Carrie Condon is the other leading cast member, I would say. Those are the top 3. She plays kind of the, not mechanic, she plays like the architect of the builder. It's almost like the Lego Master Builders, but for F1 cars. And it's really cool. Like there's not a lot of women in that space. They say that in the movie, and she is for this team, which is like a lesser than F1 team. She is that person, and it's a huge deal. Like these are incredibly expensive cars, we learn. The cars are all like, the way they're made and the benefits that they can add or use to make the drivers perform better. Huge part of the racing game. And her character revolves around all that. But she's also, in many ways, the like wishbone, the connection between Damson Idris's character and Brad Pitt's character, and it works really nicely. There's one scene kind of later in the movie. I think that's great, and it's not. They're not in cars. They're not near a racetrack. They're basically sitting at a table doing an activity and talking. In many ways, and it's really good. It's a really good scene. If you go and see it, you'll know what scene I'm talking about. But I don't want to give anything away. She's awesome. I thought she kind of steals some scenes. Honestly, I thought her and Pitt had great chemistry as well. Javier Bardem's the last one for casting that I wanted to mention today. He's great. He comes in and out of the movie. You kind of see why when you watch it. Like his role is kind of like a ownership managerial type, but like he's the one that kind of like gets Pitt out of not out of retirement, but gets Pitt on this team. And I just love the way he kind of comes in and out and has this great connection to Brad Pitt's character. They have great chemistry. I think Bardem is really, really solid. He has a lot of pressure on him. A lot of stress is on that character. And he plays that just like so well. It was honestly one of my favorite performances of his lately. So, and overall, like everything works together nicely. We have a lot of great side characters that are just part of the F1 team and, have their own kind of like bits about them. Like each character, you could tell each character, like this person is like that. This person acts like this person is like that. Like, there's dynamic characters and there's static characters within that fill out the rest of the plot and story that work really nicely. And I think overall, like 10 out of 10 casting, Brad Pitt leading the way. I almost can't really imagine anyone else in this movie really at all. Like he adds such this nice edge to the character. Like there's a lovability about Sonny because it's Brad Pitt. But Pitt does this great thing where he's also kind of hateable, like I was mentioning. And I don't know if anyone else can kind of toe that line as well as Pitt can in this instance. Like he's not all like, you don't necessarily leave the movie like, that's the best character ever, like best F1 driver ever. Like that's not really the point of the film. And I think that's actually really great and kind of inspired when it comes to making this movie and what they could have done with it. And yeah, Brad Pitt leads the way in a really great way. Well, I did mention it was going to be cast, filmmaking, and plot. One quick thing with the filmmaking to open up the filmmaking section, Hans Zimmer's score is phenomenal. It is going to be in my head for the foreseeable future. I plan on seeing this movie again, and one of the things I'm looking forward to most is Hans Zimmer's score. Great soundtrack, too. The music in general in this movie just is like pumping. It's almost like the most high-octane part of the movie is the music, and yeah, it's just I can't praise that enough, honestly. Okay, now diving a little bit deeper into the production. Joseph Kosinski, like I mentioned, this is his follow-up Top Gun Maverick. Top Gun Maverick, very notably, is incredibly well shot. It is uses a lot of practical uses of flight and cameras in the cockpits. Very similar to this, just grounded. It's just on F1 tracks. And there's so much in this movie, and it's almost distracting as someone who like goes into these movies with like just more thoughts than, I'm just going to sit down and enjoy the film. But like, oh, this is like the follow-up to Maverick. Like, how did they shoot this? Like, this is really exciting. I'm seeing it like in a premium format. Like, this is going to be so fun just to see the filmmaking of it. That is the highlight of the film. Like, there are so many scenes. I'm like, how did you film that? How did you do that? Like, this is so cool. You can't just walk into a theater on a random Sunday and see an F1. Like, I say that because you don't see movies filmed this way with this much care all the time. And to me, this is the pinnacle this year so far. Even, quite frankly, more than Mission Impossible 8. Sorry, Tom Cruise and everyone else involved in that movie. But for me, this was a more, I mean, it's crazy to say Tom Cruise was hanging on the side of a plane in that movie. This was, like, in many ways, more interesting filmmaking, at least for me personally. I was a little bit more into it, especially like another similarly long runtime. Like, I stayed more into this movie. Like, this is the best action movie of the year for me. Not even that close. Like, I would say, like, for sure. And it's a great sports movie. If you want to just consider it like just a pure sports movie, really, really works great. Not a ton of like racing sports movies. I haven't really seen many, and this is the top of the notch. So, with all that being said, filmmaking wise, Kosinski really flexes his muscles again with this one. He talked about how there's all these cameras inside of the cars, and we get all those great shots of like in the cockpit and like understanding that, and like there's these great exterior shots. And while I'm watching the movie, it's like, how on earth and how many times did they have to film stuff? And like times of day, like I can only imagine the time and effort and preparation that went into this production and not spending $1 trillion on filming, because they have to, I mean, every time it's turn left, turn right, like we're getting those great editing shots of like we're inside and then we're outside and we're racing and there's all this dynamic action happening, and it's like, how on earth did they film this? And the focus on their faces, and even like elements like the simulation and like outside of like the racetrack is just really well done. One side note, the movie, Apple production, distributed by WB, I think it looks so, the movie looks so premium. It's modern. It's F1's a very high It's very technical sport, and it's just like, for lack of a better term, the movie looks like bougie. Not in like a, oh, this is expensive way of like CGI and stuff. Like they poured money in like the, CGI effects. It's like, it just, everything looks premium. Like if you're in like the F1 facility, like for the team, it all feels super premium. There's like, it's an Apple production, so there's all these Apple products, and like just F1 seems cool in the movie. Like you walk out of F1 the movie and you're like, man, F1 is so like nice and clean and cool, and but also terrifying at the same time, and like this really interesting sport. So all that being said, no, I'm not gonna say the production's to the length of Maverick, because those are planes flying in the sky, but it's damn near close, and I really, really enjoyed it. Final note today is the plot. Now, this is, like I said, a non-spoiler section on the plot. The plot to me is the weak link of the film. If I had to choose one, I mentioned earlier kind of like the whole cousin relationship to Maverick. That movie, directed by Kaczynski, was able to have the setup of the original Top Gun and work off of that in 2 hours. And it's one of the best paced movies I've like ever seen, genuinely. This movie doesn't have that benefit, directly comparing it, where it's 2.5 hours. It feels like a much longer movie in many ways. And specifically, Sonny Hayes, Brad Pitt's character, he's this older veteran race car driver. We have a lot to learn about him in this movie, and it's necessary for the story. I genuinely think it really is necessary what they do in the movie. I'm not even critiquing like flashbacks or backstory and things like that. Like, we need all of that to understand the character, but it fills in time, and it takes time. And that's just kind of like the one thing where this story is kind of JP Damson Idris's origin story, but it's also a like introspective look at this older guy who's been through all this stuff in his life, and he just cares about racing. He loves racing. And there's I'm not going to spoil one thing about the movie, where it's like this is really cool, almost like mode that Brad Pitt's character can get in, and it's really cool, and there's a great payoff to it. So all that being said, yeah, I would say the plot a little lacking. Like it's interesting. It's actually the ending and kind of even like the way it works is not exactly what I expected. Not necessarily in a bad way, but I could also see someone who walks in this theater with no expectations and walks out and says, that was a little repetitive. I think that might be the biggest critique I give to this movie. There are elements of it that are just a touch repetitive, and maybe that's just a racing thing. It all kind of is a little bit repetitive. But at the end of the day, F1 the movie, phenomenal. One of my favorite movies of the year so far. Might even be the number one spot. Really enjoyed it. 2 thumbs up. Highly, highly recommend checking it out this weekend. So that is F1 the movie, the review. Now it is time for a conversation that is 3 years in the making. Me and Matt dive into the one, the only, 2013's Zack Snyder's Man of Steel.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in, welcome on, welcome back to our next edition of the Superman Rewind as we get ready for Superman, James Gunn's first entry into the DCU. David, we're here. We have seen Superman the movie, 1978, starring Christopher Reeve. We have seen Superman Returns, starring Brandon Routh in 2006. And now we are here, 2013's Man of Steel, the maiden voyage of the infamous DCEU, the DC Extended Universe. I want to know your thoughts, not only, about the fact that we're finally reviewing this movie, but the fact that we are on this podcast officially going over the beginning of the DCEU.
Yeah, I mean, this is the one I would say. I mean, this is the end of our rewatch journey. We've made it through the Superman, I guess, like kind of opening pillars.
Jurassic Park next week.
Yeah, Jurassic Park, but ahead of James Gunn's Superman.
Right,
This is it. This is our rewind series in terms of just the Superman. And this is the movie that people are going to compare James Gunn's Superman to the most. I think not only this movie, but just the DCEU. off the bat, I was reminded of this while watching this film. I love Man of Steel. I dislike the DCEU though, and it honestly upsets me sometimes, like how this movie ends. Not that this movie ending upsets me. It's just that knowing where we go from here and kind of the immediate mistakes that are made, in my opinion, going from this film that is so like, I mean, just jumping into one element of the movie that's so like Superman being like the only hero in this world is like a fundamental part, I would say, of this story where it's like, unlike, and there's gonna be a lot of comparisons, I think, once Superman comes out, like unlike James Gunn's trying to create right now. In this movie, if you just in a vacuum, it's like the fact that this guy is like this godlike being is like one of a kind. No one could possibly wrap their minds around that. And then you immediately say otherwise in the next movie. I digress. That's just part of my like I I am not a DCEU fan. I'm a Man of Steel fan. I want to just put up that fence immediately to start this review.
The Derek Jeter situation for you.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
That was the ultimate for a long time, wasn't it? Like, I'm not a Yankees fan, but boy, I do love that Derek Jeter. Let me
That
tell
was
you.
me with Randy Moss when he was in the Pats. I'm like, damn, bro, I love
Really?
watching Randy Moss
Oh,
play.
I had that feeling with Randy Moss on the Raiders.
Oh, interesting.
I was gonna say Gronk.
Yeah, I don't
Gronk
know.
had that.
That was when I just couldn't stand it when it got to the second when it got to like the second
So
dynasty era. I'm
good.
like, oh God. Oh, and he killed the
Remember
Colts that
Gronk
one
down the
time.
seam, dude?
I
Gronk down
we
the
know
seam.
we know it very
Jesus
well. The Colts
Christ.
linebackers know it well.
Fucking A.
Tough. God, that I still hate when that highlight pops up. It's just running over like seven Colts in the end zone.
So good at fucking football.
Unbelievable. I mean, literally just in a vacuum, one of the best. I've said in the vacuum a couple times now.
The best tight end of all time.
Yeah. Okay. Quick origin story. It's funny. I was listening to our Superman review the other day, for Superman the movie, 1978, and I said how my dad has forgotten about these movies since like 2000 or whatever. Like, because I watched 78 Superman with him. He took me to this movie though. I remember that. And I remember the theatrical experience. I remember sitting there watching this in theaters. This is definitely a movie that is enhanced by theaters. I've only seen it, I think, the
Great
one
theater
time in
movie.
theater, but it's like, damn, like I'm just watching it on my TV. I'm like, like this movie really benefits of being in a theater.
On some Snyder shit. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
exactly.
he does that and he knows that. He knows that, which makes the Snyder cut all that more ironic.
Yeah. I just remember the opening of Krypton and like when things start like popping off and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like this is so cool. Like what a cool
Aliens.
world. Like this is just like beautiful."
He rides
Um
a dragon.
exactly. You ride the dragon.
The
It's all
fuck?
good stuff. All good stuff. I'm loving life.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, this is something where like I've defended this movie for years. This is the movie I point to when it comes to like Henry Cavill's performance. There's a lot of controversy around it and I think I saw it in a different light rewatching it this time. It had been a while. I've seen this movie a bunch though. This is definitely the Superman movie I've watched the most. And it's like the ironic part is like I'm a big Henry Cavill fan as Superman, but also like I'm so invested in this new era. And quite frankly, you know, this time watching it around, my perception was slightly tilted because even though we haven't even gotten the new movie,
Got a new
just
look.
seeing all the quotes and the marketing,
Hmm.
there's a missing element in this film. Like I think this movie can be appreciated, at least in my opinion, for what it's trying to do as a sci-fi Krypton story in many ways. This Cal,
Dune-ish?
what was that?
Dune-ish?
Yeah, Dune-ish, totally. Like epic sci-fi fantasy. Where it is just about this alien, you know, it's more about alien and an alien than it is about being Superman. Like some things really stuck out to me where it's like, wow, like this new movie is gonna feel so different just because in this film, you know, there is no Clark Kent really. Like there's Clark Kent just that's from Smallville, but the whole point of the film is that like he's doing these he's being these aliases. He's this nomad that's just lost on Earth. And then by the end of the movie, we finally get there. But because we never got a proper sequel to this film, we never got what we are probably going to get in the new Superman movie. So, you know, I digress. There was a lot, though, like a lot that I love, a lot that I just, in this time watching it, stood out to me of like, yeah, maybe I do understand why people don't like this part or that part of it.
Yeah, it's I want to get into my overall thoughts. I have thoughts, but
Yeah,
and those are
please.
your overall thoughts. And I love your passion for this movie. I am not here to dismantle your passion for this movie. When this movie came out, I was. Can I talk about the trailers for a second?
Oh, yes, please do.
Dude, dude, little Clark Kent on the farm with the dog that looks like Crypto with the cape, man. Come on, man. And I remember in the
So
trailer,
good.
obviously they did the Russell Crowe, um,
Kevin
uh,
Costner.
Kevin Costner thing, which like
Money.
as a Superman fan at the time, I was like, this is fucking sick. Like
It's so good.
they picked the coolest thing to do. But I remember vividly about those trailers. They let that score go. They let it fucking ride, dude. And we're coming off Avengers too. So like everything is happening. It's percolating. 300
Yeah.
was a huge movie for my youth. I was in ninth grade when 300 came out, and I'm a white guy. So yeah, I watched a lot of 300, David. That was a big coaches would show that before football. I'm like, you guys think this is that serious?
Yeah, right.
You kidding me right now? Like,
Coaches will do anything.
they will. They will. They'll play. Hey, if you play football in Indiana, you know what they'll do a lot?
Hmm.
Play fucking Hoosiers
I
all the time.
buy
All the
that.
time. I've seen that movie more in football practice than I have in any other part of my life. And I'm from Indiana. Go Pacers,
That's so
by the way.
funny.
Go Pacers.
Let's see what's happening by the time this this is posted.
I was in the barn for game 3, brother. And I tell you, special, special environment, man.
Looked amazing.
Bill Simmons and Zach Lowe, two people I know you respect very much, both said it's their favorite stadium in the NBA.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's dope. That's
That is
dope.
dope.
That feels good. Anyway, on this movie, the trailers, the hype, unreal, right? I was 18. Saw it in theaters, cried at the when the score first kicks in. Yeah,
Bono.
yeah. When we get to the fortress, it's amazing.
It's by the way, the score real quick. It's like that
Untouched.
used to be like my gym, like getting the effing zone. Like it would just be Hans Zimmer Dark Knight, Hans Zimmer Man of Steel, and I would just be like, all right, I gotta like push through this workout.
A rare, not that obviously Hans Zimmer is like the second greatest composer of all time. He can be similar.
Hmm.
This and Dark Knight couldn't be more different.
No.
You know what I mean? Still ominous, both ominous, sure. But
Yeah.
it's so different, man. I don't know which one I like better because, dude,
I this one is
hey,
this one's so good.
I'm with you, but let me just present the speech at the end of Dark Knight when
Yeah.
he gets into the light, which was an accident, by the way.
It's so good. They're both so great. Maybe you're
Might be
right.
the best scene in comic book movie history, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Oh, it honestly
it's
might
up
be.
there. It's up there.
Change
Oh,
the way
that's
we view comic books on comic book
it's
movies.
awesome. It's awesome. Fuck. Anyway, before I get into my overall thoughts, I do want to know. You talked about your reference for this movie, how much you love it. This is
Mhm.
your movie. This is your Guardians in a way, right?
Yeah, kind of.
Um, I don't ever have to defend Guardians, so like it's a little
No.
different. I guess this would be more like your Ultron, if like, and if you're from my case, right?
Yeah, and this
WandaVision.
one's gotten murky. Yeah. Yeah, this one's gotten just murkier over the years because of the DCEU, you
And
know?
that's not this movie's. What happens after this is not this movie's fault completely. I will get
Yeah.
to that. I want to hear what do you love about this movie?
Okay.
Like we'll get into our big takeaways, right? We'll have 3 or 4 big takeaways from this movie. But what are the things you love about like, top down things you love about this movie?
It's funny because, and I will answer, I'm not dodging, I'm not being a politician. I was going to ask you what you don't like about the
As you
movie.
do this,
Yeah.
as you do the Barrio hand. like immediately you went to Barack Obama, dude. That was crazy. I want to clip that. I'm not gonna be a politician. However,
Here's the thing.
that
Here's what I
was
love about the
great.
movie. I, I mean, we'll go chronologically, even though the movie's not chronological, and that's one of my positives.
No, really?
Um,
Didn't
I,
notice.
it's funny because we talked, and I think you might, be in a little bit of crow when it comes to the Krypton stuff at the beginning because
Hey,
it's way
thousand
worse in
percent.
78, and it's way longer, worse and longer in 1978's movie.
The longer part is worse. I don't think it's bad in either.
Ah,
78 one's just dope looking.
70, yeah, it's different. It's different. I mean, they're both kind of doing the same thing.
Completely different. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, and you got Brando and stuff, and I don't know. I mean, this.
I ate crow on that review.
I know. This one though, I think has a great like lore build of like, oh, this is
Yep.
Krypton. This is a
Yep.
cool world, and like Jor-El is this active guy. He's hot, like you said, he's hopping on the
Mhm.
dragon. He's diving into the pool. We get all this like great universe building just immediately. I love. I mean, there's so much about this movie where I just love Zack Snyder's aesthetic, which is such like a that's the thing. It's so hard because like it's such like a thing to say now. And the Zack Snyder, it's all gotten so toxic and terrible. But I genuinely like I really watching the movie. I love most of the aesthetic that we get. And like, yeah, I know some parts. It's like it clashes with what we're expecting from Superman and Clark Kent and stuff, and
Sure.
that
Sure.
only gets worse in the future, quite frankly. But in this movie, I think it all works great. I love the dual dad dynamic. I love
Mhm.
how we get Jor-El back on the plane. And I love how Kevin Costner as Pa Kent, it is spread out and sprinkled throughout the movie where his origin story, it's not straight chronological. You know, we get to go back. We get to kind of like get an added taste and understanding of who this guy is and how he was raised as the movie goes along. I love the suit, just like on a really like base level. I think it's really cool. Sure, maybe it could have been brighter, but like I think that suit looks way better than David Corn's sweatsuit, quite frankly. Like
I like
rewatching
the
it.
cape more than I like the suit.
Yeah, cape is
The
really
cape
cool.
fucks in this movie, dude.
I like and I you know, and I'm not the suit stuff I'm never like the biggest like narc for.
Yeah.
But like just generally, I love the giant crest. I love that it's not a collar. Like that's my biggest hang up with the new one, which is it's whatever. It's gonna look
Yeah.
good in live action. I do
You'll get
kind of
over that in the
like
first act. Yeah.
yeah, I do kind of like the wet t-shirt look, which they're not going for in the new one. Like Henry
Sure.
Cavill's just like, come on, man, he put in the work. He
Sure.
looks unbelievable on
Sure.
the at the oil rig.
Absolutely.
It's like, holy shit,
Absolutely.
this guy. Um, I think I just really enjoy the journey. I think Michael Shannon as Zod is quite
Unbelievable.
good. He's a really strong performance. His motivation, it all makes sense. I mean, it's not the most. He's a one note, one trick pony, I guess, in terms of like a villain. He doesn't have a lot of like facets to his personality because that's literally the idea. He was
That's the point.
bred to
Yep.
be. He's basically a computer. He's programmed to
Great
be,
speech.
you know, keeping Krypton alive. And
Great speech.
I do have some negatives. I would say mainly in the third act, but I think the first two for me personally is brilliant storytelling when it comes to the origins of Superman. I think this is such a great like when you break down origin stories. We have like '02 Spider-Man, '78 Superman, '08 Iron Man, even like TASM 1 for me. I love origin stories. This to me was always one of my favorite origins because it really just dug into it. And maybe that sometimes like takes away from overall enjoyment for people because we don't really get the classic Superman Clark Kent Metropolis thing. He has no connection to Metropolis till the end of the movie.
It's completely different.
Yeah,
The
it,
origin.
exactly. So it's just, and I enjoy that story. Like I enjoy, like I mean, just one top play of like why I love this movie. When he first goes to fly, it's just like this is the best. We've got Hans Zimmer's
Spore
theme
fucks.
going. It's so good. Um, and I think he's just a it's interesting because I know there's some negatives about Cavill's performance and even like this version of Superman, but I really enjoy his like thoughtfulness. It's a thoughtful movie, which is I think a controversial thing to say. Like I think people
I would
wouldn't say
agree.
that, but we are told over and over. We can dive into this whenever you want. We are told over and over why Kevin Costner did this and what the meaning behind that was. And
Boy,
if
are
you
we.
and if you don't, if you're not in a place where you think that is valid, then I could see where the movie is kind of like the movie loses you at some point. But if you're in on the idea, I had a bigger question for later, but if you're in on that idea that's being discussed in terms of why he does not let Clark do it, then I think it's a great then I think it's a great movie. Honestly, I think that on in many ways is the linchpin, the fulcrum of the film, where it's like if you buy that and you think it's story building and character building for Kal-El, then you'll love the movie. If you think it's dumb and makes no sense completely, then I understand, and I honestly I understand that argument. I understand where maybe the movie loses you. So yeah, I guess that's kind of some of the reasons why I love the movie.
That's exactly what I wanted to hear. I love the things you love about this movie. Who's the guy on the big picture pod at the Ringer?
Sean Fantasy.
He's growing on me in a very big way, and he's 1,000 times more successful I'll ever be doing this. But
I love Fantasy. He's great.
yeah, he's incredibly well spoken. He has articulate thoughts. I don't like his views on comic book movies, but he's not a comic book movie fan. That's fine. Him talking about Star Wars got me ramped up on him in a big way.
Mm-hmm.
I love how when he disagrees with somebody, he has a big nature of like, I disagree, but I completely understand all your points. You know what I mean? So like I that's how I feel toward everything you just said. Not everything, but a lot of the things. You touched on so many of my big takeaways just then, right? And we'll dive more into that. This movie is the pinnacle for me of Zack Snyder just not vibing with me, man. It's just not my cup of tea. And this is a Christopher Nolan story. You know what I mean? Did he write this thing?
I don't think so.
I was shocked when he didn't have screenplay next to his name.
You
know what I mean?
It's story by Christopher Nolan.
Right.
Which is one of those where it's like,
It's a J.J. Abrams situation.
Yeah, it's David Goyer is the writer, and it was a joint, I'd say, like collaboration. And I think mainly what it was, honestly, was Goyer's story that Nolan stamped.
Sure. Which when you're Christopher Nolan in 2013, you could do that.
Oh, that was, I mean, this was
Yeah.
the biggest thing happening. It was like, what do we do with Superman? We have this Batman thing happening with Nolan. It's the biggest thing from sliced bread. What do we do with Superman?
We put Christopher Nolan's name in the trailer. That's what we do.
Yeah, exactly. And you make it dark, like the because of the dark, because of Batman Begins, this movie is the way it is.
1,000%. And same thing with TASM. TASM's the way it is because of that as well. The more I think about it, TASM might be one of my favorite comic book movies.
I love TASM so much.
Perfect. It's so good.
When are we gonna watch those movies?
Dude, we did the rewatch before No Way Home. That's the bummer of it. This movie, I just do not vibe with Zack Snyder. You put it perfectly before I can even say it. The conversation, it's really pocket, this movie. The hand up, I think it's a really dumb scene. It's so Twister, also, by the way.
Yeah.
So Twister. I think that's the second worst Paul Kent scene in this movie. The first being maybe. What was I supposed to let him die? Maybe. That is the entire thing of the first 2 acts of this movie is you are Clark, Superman, is going to change the world for better or for worse. And the world is not ready for that. That's the theme of the movie, right? Like the world's not ready for Superman until they need to be, right? That's the romanticized theme of the movie. And and this is back in my day or in the early 2020s, I loved arguing with Snyder fans on Twitter. And that was like my main crux of Snyder fans, I think, have this in their head a little bit. And this, if they like it, great. I don't. That doesn't mean either of us are right or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But when I would say I don't like something about a Snyder movie, the rebuttal from a Snyder fan was always, every single time, here's how it makes sense. This is why it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense because of this.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying you don't like this, but it does make sense when you look at this and this and this. It adds up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is the crux for me. Just because a story, plot, character, motivation, whatever makes sense does not automatically make it good. It's opinionated if it's good or not. I'm not saying anybody's right or wrong. But just because it makes sense doesn't mean it's automatically great. This is one where I just don't like that message. I think it's a silly message to deliver in a Superman movie Jonathan Kent is essentially saying the entire movie two things. One, the world's not ready for you. Don't let them see you ever, right? And also, whatever path you go down, good or evil, is going to change the world. So hold off on that until you're ready to make that decision. That's the idea. To not instill good really makes the Paul Kent character this weird, ominous thing in this movie. Like he's never driving Superman to be a better person. He's never driving Superman to do good.
That's not true.
To, well, only in the sense of like don't beat up kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like the maybe line is what I'm stuck on.
Mm-hmm.
Should I have let them die? Yeah, maybe. You know, that's such a turning point in this movie for me, where now I'm thinking, what is Clark thinking moving forward from that?
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like he's now he has in his head, maybe I shouldn't save these people. He ends up doing it. I'm not saying he goes down the wrong path, but that it just makes the Paul Kent character, who is arguably the most important character in this movie, such a weird fucking shadow on this kid. And it's so just interesting to me that that's the commitment of this movie. And I just don't vibe with it, man. It just does not click with me in any sort of way, narratively. Now, it's not to say there's not good parts of this movie. Another issue I have with this movie is more on the Snyder side of it.
Do you want to go into the dad stuff now? Because I have a bunch.
Yeah, please.
So I think immediate, not retort, but like
Sure.
just immediate comment on this is I agree where Pa Kent in this film, this is my perception of the movie since I've seen it. When I was about to be, or I had just turned, my birthday's June 15th, came out the 14th. I think I saw it that weekend, maybe even on my birthday. I don't remember. So I was 15, just turned 15. Is that Pa Kent is the grounded one. He's the one that is grounding Clark in reality of the discussion. It's not a discussion of right or wrong. It's a discussion of if you reveal your power, which goes back to my whole thing of like this movie makes more sense when you have the thought that there's no other heroes or anything crazy in this world. So that kind of breaks my entire logic, but like while watching this movie, that's kind of the logic there is. You know what I mean? Like it's like if you knew about Wonder Woman and stuff, like who the hell matters? What matters? Batman's been running around with Robin. I don't know.
Shout out 1984, by the way.
Yeah.
Everybody knows about Wonder Woman.
God, I hate it. Anyway, that's like around that same time too. Jeez. God.
It's so bad.
Lord have mercy.
It's literally a retcon.
Oh well, that is the DCU in a nutshell.
Yeah.
He's grounding him because I don't mean like he's grounding him in the sense of the line that sticks out to me, not the maybe, is like if you come out, if people know who you are, like it's gonna change our belief system. It's gonna change how the world like looks. I think I fundamentally like think of that. Like it that's why I went back to my original statement of like this movie is about this alien, less about Superman in many ways, because it's like, yeah, let's take a step back. Like I think Snyder does a great job of like, what if Superman was real? Like I think that's what the movie does in many ways. In a modern society, what if Superman was real? Like, what if there was this guy who came to this planet from a different planet, an alien, looks like us, but has unlimited abilities? How would we react? And I think this movie tackles that question in a really neat way. And I think the element that you're looking for of like pushing him in the right direction, we get that from his other dad. We get that from Jor-El. That's the whole idea of like, you will be this beacon of hope. You will be this like light to shine, this ideal to strive towards. That's where we get the goodness in a way. I think we get the goodness in our face way, where it is shown to us like his Kryptonian father had these plans for him. Because from his perspective, from Jor-El's perspective, it's totally two perspectives on fatherhood. He sent out his son to just like try to keep the Kryptonian, lineage alive, one, but also for that ideal to strive towards, to be something, to be molded into something new, because that's also part of the story where he's the first organic birth on Kryptonian in centuries. And that's a whole
So
part of this
cool.
where, because of that, and because of how we work as human beings as well, I think there's a lot of, all this stuff. There's a lot of like religious themes in this movie, like overtly. Um, but there's a fundamental idea I think we can all agree on. We are born and we can kind of decide to do good or bad things.
The
And
opposite of Zod.
right, exactly. Zod has one programming,
Great speech.
exactly. And Kal-El was the first Kryptonian in centuries also that wasn't molded to be anything. So it's like this
Mhm.
it is like this magical mix of free will on a planet with a sun that makes you God or whatever you want to say. It makes you this higher level being that no one on earth could even fathom. So I mean that's why I think this movie, I mean I love it. I love it, and I love it for this discussion as well. Even
Yeah.
though we disagree with each other in many ways, it's like I think it's a lot of fun, and I don't think that many superhero movies tackle these big of ideas, even if I can understand. And I don't, I don't really compare these to like MCU movies. I understand where Man of Steel, because of maybe he's trying to like be very big headed about it, I guess.
Yeah.
You lose a little bit of the fun. Like it's not Guardians of the Galaxy, right? It's not going to be 2025 Superman.
And I, uh, not you, but a Snyder fanboy, for lack of a better term, will tell you that if you don't like this movie because it's not very fun, then you are a lesser movie fan, right? You just
Right. You're
don't,
not thinking
right?
hard enough.
That's
Yeah.
the toxicity of it. And that's the extremists. You know what I mean? Movies are politics.
And that's what I don't like to associate with,
That's not what we're here. That's not what we're here to do, but that is kind of the
But it
extreme of
has,
what you're saying.
and that has gotten murkier over the years.
Absolutely.
Like,
And with more installments of this character as well.
because it really used to, this all really stemmed from, John Campia.
Yeah.
This
I'm
is this is
familiar.
an OG take. Like this is like we came out of. I remember the first time I think I found the John Schnapp, may rest in peace. Like on AMC Movie Talk or whatever, way back like 12 years ago. Finding it on YouTube, them reviewing this movie, and it was like this great conversation. That was like when my fandom really ramped up to like the next level. Honestly, that might be why I kind of like see this movie in a certain light too, because it really is part of like. I mean, Avengers, TASM 1, this movie, all that like fundamental of like where we are today now.
It's so on that point though, with you're right. Russell Crowe is the be good, save them, we can live together thing, and that's his entire character that he
Yeah.
instills in Clark. That and controlling the doors in the ship. Um, when he keeps popping up in different
It's
places.
so good. I love that. It's
The
so
house of
cool.
I call that the house of mirrors scene.
And then Zod's like, can you feel his pain?
Yeah,
Blah
yeah,
blah
yeah.
blah. I'm
Ah,
gonna
man, those two are
grow Krypton on this
those
on his
two are just
bones.
those two are eating it up in that scene, dude.
I love that.
It's so interesting to
A
me.
chance to.
And you said you were thinking about James Gunn's Superman that's coming out, which we've only seen bits and pieces of. I thought a lot about 78 in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
The Krypton scene is the biggest one, and we talked about that during the 78 review. What an homage by Zack Snyder there, right? The idea of the two fathers being the point of this movie, like so driven, like the main thing of this movie is the two fathers of it all.
It is.
That's in 78.
Mm-hmm.
Not as much, but when he does when Lois dies and Christopher Reeve just goes off, you know what I mean? Like that's his best moment, similar to how Henry Cavill's best moment is incredibly similar in this movie.
Yeah.
That speech when he's turning back time is Paul Kent and Jor-El both talking to him.
Mm-hmm.
And when I watched that movie, I was like, wow, that's that. And I'm not saying like, I'm not like knocking points off Zack Snyder for that not being an original idea. I had forgotten that was also a thing from 78.
It's a bit
You know
of the
what I mean?
inverse, though, right?
And that's exactly my point. In that movie, it is the opposite. Jor-El, more alien, more business.
Rules.
Don't the rules. Don't pack things too much. The Eternals of it all, honestly. Um, he's that, and then Paul Kent, who crushes in that movie, is playing the Russell Crowe character here. I guess where my brain goes is Russell Crowe is so heavy on the be good side that when you do the father versus father thing, I think that inherently that makes the antithesis of that is the not be bad, but think about being good. And that's just kind of where I get a rub there with that theme. Also, another thing about this movie, and this is much more of a Zack Snyder thing than it is is less about the story and more about the plot. I just don't think we get any payoff to everything Jonathan Kent says in this movie. The world's not ready for you. When you reveal yourself, the world's going to change. That is so much more handled in BVS than it is in this movie.
Yeah.
And we never get any point in this movie where the world reacts to Superman. We get the world reacting to Zod instead. And it's just there. I just don't feel like he followed through in the third act, other than the military, the world reacting to Superman. What happens now? And I go back to 78 when he saves Lois in front of the Daily Planet. You've got me. Who's got you? The next scene. The next.
By the
scene,
way, I will say no scene in this movie is as good as that scene.
Absolutely not. No. But that's not totally fair because that's magic. You know what I mean? That's a magic moment. The very next scene is Perry going like, "Who's he dating? What's he wearing?" Oh no, that's Superman Returns. But they do that thing. They do the thing where it's like everybody's talking about Superman now. This has changed everything. This is now the story. You know what I mean? If you're not talking about Superman, you're not talking about the right thing. It's very COVID-19. I worked in news during COVID-19, and if you pitched a single story that wasn't COVID, you were not getting on air. I was there in those meetings, and that's kind of what this was, right? In 78. We just don't get that in this movie. It's all told to us, and that goes to the script. Script kind of blows, man. I'm going to be honest with you, because everything in this movie is exposition. Every single line spoken in this movie is exposition and telling you what is happening. And I think the biggest disservice to Henry Cavill in this movie, and this is something I flagged. I was actually talking to TCR about it the other day because I was nervous about talking to you about it.
He had to warm up.
I was nervous. You can ask him. Henry Cavill's first actual conversation he has with somebody, like a real intentional back and forth conversation, is not until 50 minutes into this movie when he's talking to Jor-El. And that conversation is simply recapping what happened on Krypton and why he's here. So like we don't get an actual back and forth Henry Cavill conversation until he gets back to the farm an hour and 15 minutes into this movie. And like you said, it's so much more about the alien than it is about the Superman of it all. And I think that's a disservice to the movie is all I'm saying. You know what I mean? I understand that's the point, and it's back to the just because it makes sense. I just don't think that serves the movie well, because and Iron Man is the example of you care about Tony before you even know who Iron Man is, right? Why the hell do we care about Clark Kent at any point? We never get a chance to. They never give us the opportunity to get to know Clark Kent or this alien. You know what I mean? Like it's all the entire point of the Superman character in this movie is, I'm an alien, and that's kind of it. You know what I mean? Like his whole purpose is to be this alien character, and it does not work for me. And I think it's a disservice to Henry Cavill, who also does not get a lot of interesting things to say throughout this movie. And so when I talk negatively about this Superman character, it's so much less about Henry Cavill's ability to be Superman. We know he looks like him. He's so hot in this movie.
He sure does.
Yeah. He's very hot in this movie. You know how hot he is? They tell us how hot he is.
That line
It
does not land well.
sucks.
That line seems like added after like a test screening, honestly. It
Right?
doesn't fit in at
That's the
all.
one. There's two Marvel lines in this movie. That's one of them, and it sucks.
What's the
The
other
other
one?
one, when they
Lois?
kiss,
Oh,
everything goes downhill after the first kiss. I think that only counts when you're kissing a human.
yeah. Both
God,
those
like
stand out.
bad jokes, right? And it's just, I think it just kind of makes this movie a little more boring than I'd like it to be.
Hmm.
Visually, awesome. What's actually happening, and we've talked about it, I am a character first movie watcher. A character is what I want the most out of a movie. This movie doesn't service their characters at any point. Even like everything we know about Clark Kent is done through a flashback or a montage. And I just think that discredits the Henry Cavill Superman. And that's a bummer to me. Um,
To be fair, I do love flashback scenes. So that
sure.
is something for me, like it just in terms of just like taste and interest, I just enjoy flashbacks. I think this story's built on flashback scenes.
Absolutely. Everything you need to know about Clark Kent is done through a flashback, which I understand that device, but it discredits the Henry Cavill thing a little bit for me. And then I go back to 78. Everything Christopher Reeve says as Clark Kent is fucking awesome. You know what I mean? The characterization of Superman in that movie is great. You think about, obviously, again, it's hard, it's tough to compare it to the Richard Donner fucking masterpiece of those few scenes in 78, right? The conversation between him and Lois in the apartment when he stands up a little bit
Mhm.
and he does the thing. Like that brings so much weight behind the character. We don't not just get less of it in this movie. We don't get any of it because,
Mhm.
like you said, it's more alien than Superman.
Mhm.
And I just don't vibe with that decision overall.
I think you mentioned earlier it's like why do we care about Clark? I think the movie is trying to deify him in a way that makes us so we should care. I think that's what Zack Snyder thinks. It's like I'm going to use the first X amount of time to make him this like higher being essentially. So you should care. And I think for better or for worse, like you said, it that is in place of uh Henry Cavill led character building
Right.
through conversation, through scenes. Um, but I think there's a beauty to it personally where it's like in this movie, I feel a connection to this Clark and this Kal-El of just like lost and confusion. And I think that's part of the point is like it's supposed to be like what do I do? Who am I? You know, he's going off. He's like, he's doing these random jobs. You know, his first scene is him like crabbing, you know, deep sea crabbing and stuff, and then it leads to the rig, and then we get the later where he's acting like, or he's at the bar, and we get that whole sequence where like he's trying to
So hot that fucking scene, dude.
sure is, and it's
When he
like
shaves. Oh,
good stuff. And he messes up that guy's truck. And that's another controversial scene where it's like that's not very Christopher Reeve at all. You know, this a vengeful Superman who's just like pissed, but can't take it out on the guy. He knows he can't, but he'll take it out in his car. And like it's one of that's a scene that's often like cited as like, oh man, like this movie sucks. I like that
I like
scene
that.
because it's very human to
I like
me.
that scene a
It
lot.
humanizes him where it's like, God, like this would he feels so the thing that I like about this movie a lot is that he feels so isolated. If you to me it's like you feel so isolated with him too. Like when he's just in there floating in the water and the whales are going by, beautiful shot. I love the cinematography in this movie overall.
I love a whale sound in a movie.
Ooh.
I love a whale sound in a movie. It never doesn't hit.
It's good
You know,
stuff.
it tells you you're in the ocean, deep sea shit.
Right. It's good stuff. And that's so funny. It's so true.
It's true.
Um,
Avatar, way of water, baby. Come
yeah, exactly. God, that whale's awesome. And that
on.
kid, don't know his name. Don't ask me. Um,
What's the
but
whale's
beautiful,
name?
beautiful connection.
What's the
Oh
whale's
fuck.
name?
That you know what that movie reminds me of? It does remind me
Iacon.
kind of How to Train Your Dragon. Anyway, I don't even know where we are in this conversation, but
So,
I do have if we want to, I do have my complaints and
okay.
my things that I think the issues that I have with this movie, it's not what you have, as we've just discussed. to me, it is Lois Lane. That is the element of this movie that I dislike the most. That I am most the element that I think they got wrong from the get-go, where I think personally, I think they got a lot right in this movie and then it went wrong later in the DCU. But what I think at the fundamental point they got wrong to begin with in Man of Steel is Amy Adams as Lois Lane. And I do not put it on Henry Cavill. I do not think he is the issue. I think it is a miscasting. And I think Amy Adams is a fine actress. She does not embody Lois Lane though, to me, at all. Like she is a different character. And I think in many ways this movie is alternate from what you see in comic books. And it's a James Gunn thing through and through, and I'm being influenced because he talks about it a lot. But when I read a Superman comic and I see 78 and I see even that CW show with Tyler, what's his name?
Tyler
Hogan. Like you see more of a comic book like animated series like Superman. This movie is trying to be its own thing, I think, in a real way, and I think that's part of the controversy around it. It's trying to be its own thing. It's not really pulling from like a lot of comic books in many ways. So anyway, with Lois, it's kind of the same thing where it's like I just am not, unfortunately, because like I said, I like Amy Adams in other movies. I just don't.
She looks so good in this movie, dude.
She looks great.
She looks fantastic.
But the issue is to me, it's like I just don't think that to me that's they gave her a lot to. She's not a damsel in distress until the very end, but even then she's very active in this movie. Huge role, has a lot to
on
do.
The ship.
We just had it with a very active Lois Lane in Returns. That's even worse. But quite frankly, here's the thing. Here's my take watching this movie. I'm like, have they done Lois Lane really that great once on the big screen? I don't think so. In like a real way, where like I love this character. In 78, she's super horny. In 06,
She's also insanely charming.
yes.
In 78.
No, she is, but that in many ways is driven by her attractiveness to Superman.
My Night with Superman.
Exactly. And it's very romantic. It's a romantic. That movie is an 100 on the romantic scale, and this is like a 2.
That movie's about Clark and Lois.
Yeah, and that's a beauty. Yeah. I mean, that's some of the beauty of the movie. So yeah, but I still would say like I don't think that's like a great ideation of what Lois can even be, because that's still way more than on the damsel in distress thing, and she's not this like she doesn't feel as much of a like what's the word? Respected reporter. Like in this one, she is all respected reporter, Pulitzer Prize winning. She's this investigative journalist who's like, "Oh, why are you here? We were expecting you tomorrow. That's why I'm here today.
That's why I came today."
Yeah, exactly. Like there's all these things, and like that part feels pretty cool. Her relationship with Perry's pretty good, but like other than that, I don't really love Amy Adams in this role, and they just don't have great chemistry. In the scene where they should have the good chemistry, in the when he turns himself in and it's the ass Superman, the whole tease, that should be. By the way, I think Henry Cavill's best line to me in this entire movie is in that scene, but it's when he's talking to the guy through the window. I love that part.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
But yeah, that's my biggest loser. Like especially on rewatch, and especially, I mean, I've only seen the marketing, obviously, for Brosnahan as Lois, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this seems like it's gonna be like next level.
Yeah, and it's tough to compare this to the Clark and Lois of 78 because that's what that movie's about. No shit, it's going to be more fleshed out because that's what the entire movie's about. This movie is not about that at all, but when it is, like you said, that chemistry is not there. And it goes into my biggest takeaway when they kiss at the end, or when Clark lands and he's like, "I need Lois Lane," or all of that different stuff. None of it's earned. Like none of it like feels like it was earned. It was just they had to do it kind of thing.
Yeah.
This movie, and it's very indicative of the rest of the DCEU in total, is so much better on paper than it is on screen. And that's not to say it's bad on screen. If you think it's good on screen, great. I think anybody would agree. The idea of this movie is better than the actual movie. And I think that it's just a Zack Snyder kind of what would you even call it? It's a tendency that Zack Snyder has where his ideas and the thematic themes, which is redundant, I know, and just the driven force of the movie when explained out loud, sure. But when you watch the movie, you just don't really get that impact. You are filling in so many gaps for yourself when you watch this movie, all the way to the climax of the movie when he kills Zod. At no point in this movie do we tussle with does Superman kill or not.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like that is assumed when you're watching this movie if you know Superman and his rules. That's not fleshed out in this movie at all. And it goes back to the idea they don't give Clark any humanity. So that scene being so emotional, while the acting is great and the moment is awesome. And when it happened in theaters when I first saw it, I was shocked because I
Yeah,
know who Superman
it's
is.
the moment.
But when you rewatch the movie, you realize that's not set up in any way. And it's just kind of there. So I just think nothing in the third act for me is earned. And I think it goes all the way back to the first two acts being so much about John Kent that we never get a chance to know Clark. And therefore, all the Clark scenes at the end, I just think lose a little weight. And it brings me into my next big takeaway, and then we'll go back to your last one. And this may I wrote. Do I have
Yeah.
permission to say wrote? Is an incredibly trite take on this movie. And it's the Superman problem through and through.
Yeah.
Punch harder.
Yeah.
That's his only adversity. You're not punching hard enough. In action scenes, how does he win? He just flies a little faster.
Yeah. He
And
pushes a
and
little harder.
yeah, and when he's faced with the military seeing him for the first time and the world is opened up to Superman, how does he get out of it? He just pushes through like, yeah, you just got to trust me. And he just doesn't have to overcome anything in this movie other than I need to punch a little harder. And the first flight scene looks incredible. It's obviously a great looking scene. I rewatched it this time, paying attention to it a little bit. You know what I mean? I wanted to really get my feelings on that scene. Even in that scene, how does he end up flying? Just tries a little harder.
Focuses. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just think that it's less interesting than what the movie is trying to make you think it is. The movie acts like this intricate, deep sci-fi story of right and wrong and knowing yourself and all this stuff. But when it comes down to it, the plot never executes on that story better than plot, right?
Mm.
And the punch harder thing, I'm not the first one to say it at all, but
Yeah.
it is so overt throughout this movie. I feel like specifically in the action scenes, but I think it trickles into other scenes as well.
I think it's a big. I think that in many ways, the punch harder and the do try harder, focus hard. I mean, one of my negatives on the film is the world builder when he just fights the world builder at the end in the South Indian Ocean. I'm like, man, I do not. This is like it's my least favorite part of the movie. It's like
It's such a nothing scene.
it's cool when he like, and it's like I think it's cool just because I'm like a fan, but it is cool when he like fights and finally goes up. But that's all that is. That's what you're just saying. It's the same thing as when he's uh learning how to fly. It's just him like sitting there and focusing, honing his senses, like fighting through. There's not really like an element, and I think it would have. I think there was maybe who knows. I have no idea, but there could have been like internal conversations like, do we do voiceover in this moment? Like, do we have like a thought in their head?
It would have added so much.
I don't
I
know.
feel.
I think it would have taken away from it. It would have been like cheesy, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I
I
just
mean,
feel like there was nothing there to begin with. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
why does he beat that terraformer after getting his ass kicked for so long?
right. Yeah, no,
There
I mean,
isn't a
you're
reason.
right. I mean,
And unfortunately, they also undercut it with Zod because he figures all that shit out in 5 minutes.
mhm,
You know what I mean? He doesn't even need to try harder. He just needs to try once.
mhm.
And it just undercuts it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, there's also the conversation. Like the movie does a really interesting job to me of like what it means to be a Kryptonian on Earth. What, like you were just mentioning, like, and then Superman goes on the ship with their gravitational stuff, and he's like freaking out and all that. Like it's all pretty interesting to me. Like, it's interesting ideas. It's fun things to see. on screen, where it's like because quite frankly, we're never going to see some of the origin story ideas of this movie, I think, ever again, because it's never going to be told quite like this again, like, so I think one thing I thought while watching this movie is I'm really glad personally that this movie exists and then a movie, hopefully, if it works out, like James Gunn's Superman's going to exist, because this one is the O2 Spider-Man of it. Very different movies, but like we're never going to see a Spider-Man origin story like that really ever again. And you could throw Tasm in there too, I guess. But still, like you're never gonna see like where it's like a pure origin story like this one, because the whole movie's an origin. Like you don't even 78, you get the third part of the movie where it's Metropolis. And
Yeah.
that's you never get that in this movie. The whole thing is just him dealing with his alien lineage essentially, and the coming out party to the world and what that means. So this next movie we're going to get with James Gunn, that's not really going to be a part of it. The Kryptonian stuff's still there. We get the Fortress of Solitude, looks really cool, but he's already Superman. The whole point is that we're going to be getting a Superman movie that is Superman, Clark, the in between, Lois, an actual relationship, Lex too, like Lex is completely like botched in the DCEU because they go too big too quickly and it's all just sucks. So it's just tough. It's weird looking back. I will say, like I think I mentioned it earlier, this movie, watching it this time, I did watch it with a different lens than I ever had before, because we are less than a month away from Superman, from the new Superman, where I am so excited and invested in what that movie is going to be. And quite frankly, and we'll see when we review it, I hope that I walk out of that movie thinking that's better than Man of Steel, which would mean something to me. Like for you, that's obvious. It's going to be, you think, better than Man of Steel. Like unless it's I actually have no idea how you personally would not walk out of that movie thinking it's better than Man of Steel. But for me,
Especially,
if I do, huh?
especially after this most recent trailer.
Oh my gosh,
I'm not
dude.
messing around. Doing important things.
Yeah. It's gonna be, I mean, tonal difference, visual difference. It's gonna be dramatic, but I do think personally, I enjoy how I'm gonna be able to have this story. I'm gonna be able to have that story.
Yeah.
It's totally different takes in the same character. And yeah, I honestly didn't really have too much more. Like I obviously have like points to defend and things like that, but we've pretty much gone over all of it. Uh, and a lot of it, honestly, like unfortunately, leads into then just there's a lot of like, which I don't think we should do today. There's a lot of then like BVS conversation where
Absolutely.
it's like because the one note I really made, and it's so obvious watching this movie, it's like this event, which we get at the very beginning of BVS, this event is supposed to be just like earth shattering, like this. It's like it's Avengers,
New
where
York.
it's like, yeah, it's the Battle of New York. It's like that day in Metropolis when the aliens came, and like when Metropolis was like totaled essentially. It's supposed to have that impact on us. My one last thing, my one positive that I really, really love, and it's my maybe my favorite part, one of my favorite parts in the movie. It's the very end. I smile every single time when he's talking. And by the way, one also little thing that I like about the movie, I think him and his mom's relationship's cute. Like you kind of feel it. Like I think they actually have like good like mother son chemistry, and just like it's like, oh, like I'm not
Yeah.
gonna leave you, all these things, which kind of pays off in BVS, not really, but there he's that conversation. She's like, so what are you gonna do now? All these things. He's like, oh well, I need to get a job where I'm like ear to the ground, and like they won't be like suspicious if I have to like be investigating things and go to dangerous places. And we get the shots of him walking in. It looks beautiful. He's got the thing. He's grabbing the glasses, putting them on, and he walks in. And when Lois says, "Welcome to the planet," and you get that stupid freaking big smile on his face, I'm like, since I was 15 years old, walking out of that movie theater, I'm like, holy shit, here we go. Like this is it. This is and then it's terrible. But like in that moment, I still will never forget the hype going into BVS of like, but they did it at the end, man. They got like we got it. We got Clark Kent with the glasses on, smiling. We're going to get this. We're going to now. We got the origin. Now we're going to get Spider-Man 2. And we never got Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
You know?
It's Yeah, and it's this is moving past Man of Steel. The disservice to this movie that BVS brings is that Paul Kent's whole thing is how is the world going to react to Superman? In my opinion, that isn't handled until BVS, and
Mhm.
that's not that's a Batman movie. You know what I mean? Superman doesn't deal. Batman deals with it, and it's just
It's
and
true.
then another disservice to BVS is Clark's reaction to how the world responds is I'm going to get mad at it.
Hmm.
And that sucks. You know what I mean? I was shocked in that Daily Planet scene that he did not say hello, Miss Lane.
Mm.
He said, "Hey there, Lois," or "Nice to meet you, Lois."
Yeah, nice to meet
Like,
you.
I
Yeah.
was I'd forgotten exactly what he says in that moment, but I leaned forward. I was like, if he says Miss Lane here, he could win me all the way back. You know what I mean? I have a question. It's a hard question, and I want you to consider two things when I ask you this question. All right?
Okay.
I want you to emphasize two, and this obviously narrows down your opinion a little bit. I'm altering your opinion slightly, but humor me.
Okay.
Emphasize these two things. One, Dick Donner's Superman 1978 was made 35 years before this movie.
Mhm.
Tone, pacing, writing, the way movies are made, very different, right?
Mhm.
So just you are a very intelligent movie fan. I know you can recognize that and adjust weight accordingly, right?
Turn around, soldiers. Yeah.
Yeah. um, God damn. So that, right? Also, a character in a movie, while the actor and the performance is a big part of it, it's not the only part of it. There is also the writing, what he has to say, what he or she has to say, and the direction, how he's being told to say it. So keep in mind that a character, while the actor is a big part of it, it's not the only part of it. You also have to factor in the writing and the direction. After seeing 1978 Superman,
Mhm.
do you still firmly believe that Henry Cavill is a better Superman than Christopher Reeve? Keeping those two things, like weighting those two things a little bit.
Um, I would say I no. I would say that Reeve is probably a better Superman at the actor playing the role. Yeah. And he has, I mean, I think part of it is he has more to do.
It's so
Um,
much more to do.
he is so he and the Clark of it all. We don't get a Clark Kent in this, really. We
That's
don't
why
get
it's
a Clark
not.
Kent that we know from the comics,
That's why
like
it's not Henry Cavill's fault that I think that ranking, in my opinion, is the way it is.
yeah. I
I think it's
do
so
I
much more.
will say though, and wraps this up, I think this movie is better though. I will that having just rewatched both of them, that I think this is the of the rewind series we just did. This is the best Superman movie going into James Gunn's version. That's what I think.
You hit the nail on the head. You had the point of the entire episode today reviewing this movie, in that the line that Kevin Costner says, where for better or for worse, you're going to change the world. Whether it's for good or for evil, you're going to change the world. In that maybe line. If you vibe with that message, you're probably going to really like this movie. If you don't vibe with that message, it is a gatekeeping moment for you where it's harder to like this movie if you don't vibe with that message because it's so hammered, right? And you made that's the best point of the episode right here today, I think, is that like that is a turnstile line for
Hmm.
everybody where if you're with it, you're with it. If you're not, it's hard to get back because they don't give you a lot of chances to do so.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I think that really is the best way to describe Man of Steel. You're either in or you're out, and there's not a ton of in between.
That's where the
Whereas,
divisiveness comes, right?
right,
Like, there's not a lot of movies where it's like that, where you're either in or you're out.
especially comic book movies that have that extra value of fun, excitement, big action sequences that we like,
Hmm.
characters that we're familiar with, this, that, the other. This movie doesn't put value in those things as much. So if you're either in or you're out, and that divisiveness, I think, is more focused. It's more oh gosh, when you take
Boiled
something
down.
boiled down, thank you. It's more boiled down to that.
Hmm.
And you know what? Zack Snyder does that all the time. You're either in it or you're not.
Yeah.
And Unfortunately, his fans have taken it as you either get it or you're stupid. And that's not the case. That's never what you would say. But the idea is there though. You either get it or you don't. And if you don't, this movie's just not for you, right?
Yeah,
Um, but it's a beautiful movie. The score is incredible. And
it is.
and I think that, there's definitely a space in this world for Man of Steel. It's just not my space, but it's
Yeah,
your space.
yeah.
And I love that. And we've reviewed Man of Steel on the Direct Podcast. How about that?
What a time. What a
What a
time to be
time.
alive. We've been building this. I've been on this podcast for about, actually, literally, it's about to be 3 years. And yeah,
Insane. It's insane.
we did it.
Next week we'll be reviewing the 1993 classic Steven Spielberg's
Do, do,
Jurassic
do,
Park.
do, do. Talk about a
So yeah,
score.
we're gonna review Jurassic Park, and then we're gonna review the new Jurassic Park, and then we are going to get ready for Man of Steel, which I will be seeing on July 8th. You also?
I did not get tickets for it, but my fingers crossed that I will get some kind of early screening for it, hopefully.
Hopefully. And we're in it now. We have done our
We're
Superman
in the
rewind.
end.
How do
We're in
we
the end
feel?
game now. Yep.
Ranking this thing, I think we can guess the rankings already. I'm gonna go 78 Man of Steel Returns. You are gonna go Man of Steel 78 Returns.
Returns is horrible. That movie,
That,
watching this movie, I'm like, that movie doubly even sucks now. That movie is
absolutely.
an abomination to this. That movie, I feel the opposite of like, oh, I love to have this movie and 78 and James Gunn's version. I can appreciate all of them for what they are. Not Returns. I think that movie is just like literally just it should get blown back to Krypton. We need to shoot it out into space back to Krypton.
Man of Steel is trying really hard to be not 78. It feels like James Gunn is trying to play a more homage to 78. Superman Returns is trying to do both at the same time. And it's just the worst decision they possibly could have made.
It's the worst, man. It's truly the worst. Like I think what this new movie's gonna be is like what that movie got so wrong.
Yes.
It's gonna be like the idea of that movie corrected in
Yeah.
many ways.
Yeah. We're going to give it another go. Ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah.
that has been our Superman Rewind. Thank you all so much for
Just one more
listening.
time.
For David, I'm Matt. Until then, see you next time.